What's going on, everybody? Good morning and a happy game day Thursday to you all. DK show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there, download the Sports Talk app, take it on the go. You got your Google and Alexa home devices, stream it up over there, smart speakers, the app. I said that already, right? Yeah, download the app. Video streams are also up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. It is game day, a huge game day. Packers, Lions coming at you tonight, 7:15 kickoff. Big time NFC North matchup. If the Packers perhaps have any hope to maybe get that division championship, to get a top seed, one of the top two seeds in the NFC. I think it's fair to say got to win tonight, but also this tonight might be a little bit of a statement game for Green Bay, if you will. But how do you see this one playing? What are your keys to victory? What are your key matchups for this game? Even though they practiced throughout the whole week, no Romeo Dobbs, no Jair Alexander for tonight's game. The Lions, though, also dealing with some injuries. DJ Reader's gonna be out, Taylor Decker, offensive lineman's gonna be out. We know the Lions have been hit hard so far this season with defensive injuries. So we'll see how it all plays out though, right? We got the game plan. We got the game plan to for the Packers to pick up this W tonight, but I want to hear your key matchups and your keys to victory. So send them on over to our texting line, 715-830-1912. Or commenting on video streams. You can do that, or hit us up on the socials. Hit us up on the socials over there too. Plenty of Packers talk coming at you. We're gonna have Brandon Berg on here this morning with us. He'll be hopping up in the 7 o'clock hour, so he'll be joining us then. We'll catch up with Brandon, do some local sports roundup. I know the winter sports season is in full swing right now, so we'll get the latest from him. Got some Bucks chats. Bucks falling last night to the Atlanta Hawks, snapping their 7-game losing streak, 119-104. Doc Rivers citing fatigue. He looked like his team was fatigued from the probably from the night prior and the games before, but it's gonna happen too when you got a little bit of an older team over there. But that's kind of the reason or excuse, whatever you want to call it, Doc Rivers gave for his team's performance last night. So Bucks will be off for well, they're back in action tomorrow, so just another night off here. So, but the 7-game losing streak is now in the book. Start a new one, right? Start a new one. Marquette on the college side of things, they fell to Iowa State's. So both Wisconsin and Marquette dropping their first games of the season this week. Those two teams, one of them is going to drop 2 in a row for the first time this year. Who will it be, Wisconsin or Marquette this weekend? Saturday tip time between those two teams. So both teams looking for bounce back W's in their matchup. Speaking of college sports, Badger volleyball is going to be starting their national tournament run as well. So got that going on today. Opening round begins for the Badger volleyball team. We'll be following that, no doubt about it. We'll do some outdoor tidbits with Jake Bolks coming up at about 8:30, recapping the deer gun season. Muzzle loaders going on right now. Heck, there's even people out there who are ice fish. Going out there with the ice out there. Just be careful out there, okay? Be safe, be careful out there, everybody. But do got the ice fishermen that are already trying to get out there, getting out there. I saw pictures the other day on Facebook. Was it over Menominee already? Bunch of shanties and such out there, and or maybe not shanties, but tents and that. So be safe, be careful. But we'll catch up on the latest with Mr. Jake Boaks, our DNR warden buddy from the state of Wisconsin. So that's at 8:30. Do a little receiver defer on a Thursday morning. We'll get to that about 7:40, 7:45. we'll hit that up. And as always, you can, if you think you got a good receiver defer question that you want to share with the rest of the class, go ahead and do so and send those on over too. So, but I know everybody wants to get going here this morning. Game day, a Thursday night game. The another primetime game. Primety, I mean, obviously with Miami and then Detroit, Seattle next Sunday night, Monday night football. That Minnesota one sure looks like week 17 is going to be flexed. So get ready for a lot of primetime games coming up here for the pack. But how do you see this one playing? What are your predictions? Packers, Lions. Big time game coming up here, especially for the Packers if they want to still be in the running for the NFC North Championship and maybe a top seed in the NFC playoffs. Also, maybe do you view this as a potential statement game for the Packers if they go out there and pick up this W on the road against Detroit? Will that kind of send a message to the rest of the league saying, hey, it's not just the Lions and the Eagles in the NFC. Don't forget about us Packers over here, too. We are championship contenders as well. So this is obviously we just saw Detroit a little over a month ago. It was on November 3rd when Detroit came to town in Lambeau Field and picked up the win. So what did the Packers maybe learn from that game? Maybe Jordan Love, no pick sixes over there, but what do you think? What are some of your keys to victory? What are your keys to victory or key matchups? Excuse me, keys to victory and your key matchups. Okay, I got my, I got a few, I got a few on my list here. Probably a lot of ours are going to be the same, right? I mean, there's probably a lot of them that are going to be the same, and probably a lot of the same keys to victory and key matchups that we've had throughout this season. And then give me a player from each side of the ball, defensively and offensively, where you're like they got to be they got to have a game. It's our they got to have a game players to watch in this one. All right, so let's get it going here this morning. We're going to take an early break, but it's going to be a quick one because we're going to catch up from Mirth for Festival Toys, but then I really want to get into the leadoff right away, talking about this big time game tonight. Game day. Happy Thursday night game day. Packers, Lions. Is it starting to get to you? Starting to get a little motivated. I'm starting to get a little pumped up for tonight's game too, and we still got 13 hours to go. Let's talk about it. Coming up in just a couple minutes. if you're having any luck, or you had some luck deer season, having any luck right now with muzzleloader going on, what do you do with it? Where do you take it to get it processed? Simple. That's Mike Star Market in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking to get some venison bacon made up, maybe some steaks, burgers, snack sticks, all that good stuff. Mike's has options for anyone when it comes to getting your deer processed. Or hey, maybe you're looking okay, what are we going to have for Christmas this year? Maybe you're looking at getting some steaks and such. You're going to get the best quality and the best products from Mike Star Markets, again located on the west side of Eau Claire Heimstead Road over there. Go check them out. Go visit our good friends. Plus, maybe some stocking stuffers with their freeze-dried candy, a bunch of different options of freeze-dried candy. Those are flipping awesome over there too. So, all right, let's get it going here. Game day. Should have had the grills going here this morning, a little tailgate feel here. What was I thinking? Obviously, I wasn't thinking. Could have had a little tailgate theme going on. But let's open it up. Beginning this morning, the leadoff. Big time Thursday night game. Not too often do we get matchups like this for a Thursday night football game when you've got Packers and Lions. And you got the Lions as the top seed, Packers, a couple games back. Two of the best in the, not only just in the conference, but I would argue two of the best in the entire league. Going at it, division rivals. We call it division rivals. We call it division rivals, I think. How do we see this one play? What are the key matchups? What are the keys to victory? These two teams have met once already, just about a month ago, where the Lions visited Lambeau Field and picked up the 24. Is it the 24-10 victory? So, but Packers looking, 24-14, excuse me. I said 24, yeah, 24-14. That was when the Lions had that pick six right before the half. It was 17-3 entering halftime at that point. Packers tried to claw their way back into it. Defense, kind of locked it down afterwards. Didn't allow a touchdown or didn't allow any scoring in the fourth quarter in that game. Just an early touchdown in the third. But Packers weren't able to claw back out of that. Jordan Love was still coming back, dealing with the groin injury and such, but seems like he's healthier after the bye week and after about a month in that. So, how do we see this one playing out here? How do we see this going out here? Quick, as we usually do, we'll kind of preview where these two teams rack up offensively, defensively across the National Football League. Well, you have two of the top three offenses going up against each other. The top offense in terms of yards per game in the entire league is the Baltimore Ravens, who are the only team averaging over 400 yards per game, 422.5 to be exact. Second is the Detroit Lions at 395.2. Third, the Green Bay Packers, 382.9 yards per game. So you've got the number two and the number three offense in terms of total yards going at it for tonight. Detroit and Green Bay both a top 10 in terms of passing yards per game. Detroit is averaging 240.8 yards through the air. Green Bay 234.3. Rushing yards, Detroit with the edge too, but they're just one spot above Green Bay. So both top five in the league in rushing. Detroit is the fourth best in terms of yards per game, 154.4. Green Bay fifth, 148.5. And points per game, though, a little bit of a discrepancy here. Both top 10, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep. Green Bay's eighth at 20. Was it eighth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 26.5 points per game. But Detroit is number one in the league in points per game. The only team that is averaging more than 30 points per game. They are averaging 31.9 points per game. Those are the offensive numbers. The defensive numbers, do they tell a different story? Detroit's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So they're about 10th in terms of yards, defensively yards allowed per game, 320.3. Green Bay, a couple slots behind them. They're in the top 15. They're 325.5 yards allowed per game. When we break it down to passing yards allowed per game with this, you've got Detroit's near the bottom third of the league in terms of passing yards allowed per game, 226.8. Green Bay, a little bit higher, maybe more middle of the pack, 217.3. Now, I would argue this doesn't tell the whole story, okay? This does not tell the whole story because I do feel like what factors into some of these numbers too, when you look at it, especially defensively, is okay, you've got the number one scoring offense with Detroit. And then you look at their defensive numbers and it's like, okay, they're bottom third in passing yards allowed. Well, a lot of teams are playing a little catch up, right? We know Detroit could score a bunch and they jump out to leads. So in turn, teams have to throw a little bit more. That doesn't mean necessarily, oh, Detroit's bottom third in passing yards allowed per game. There must be opportunities to throw the football. Be careful when you got Joseph back there, who's league leaders in interceptions. You got Branch as well, so that doesn't tell the whole story. So don't just assume like, oh, Jordan Love could throw today. Be careful. Don't just assume that. Rushing yards allowed per game, and it's kind of the same here. Maybe a little bit here too, but Detroit's defensively just allowing 93.5 yards per game. 93.5 yards per game. Green Bay also top 10, 106.6. Again, that for me tells you, especially when you look at Green Bay's last couple games, Miami and San Francisco, they didn't run the ball a whole lot because they were trying to get out of the hole. They dug themselves in a hole. Green Bay was able to score early and put up some points. So teams had to throw a little bit more. Same here with the Lions. Not trying to discredit how good their defenses are, or maybe how good their run defenses are, run defense actually is. I think they have been playing better, specifically on the Green Bay side, but it doesn't tell the whole story. Points per game, Detroit, second best in the league, 16.9 points per game. 16.9 points per game allowed defensively. The only team better than them is the Chargers. Green Bay, meanwhile, 2, 4, 6, 8. So they're 10th. They're tied with the Bears, allowing 20 points per game. So those are just some of the numbers. Numbers where they're at in terms of the rest of the league team wise and such. One, because it's going to be, I think, a key matchup or a key to victory, excuse me, for the Packers is red zone. We've been talking about red zone for a long time, for at least the last few weeks here. And Green Bay has gotten better in the last few weeks. I mean, they were towards the bottom. I mean, you're talking late 20s in ranks when you talk about red zone offense coming away with touchdowns. Green Bay has climbed up to 15th. In fact, in their last three, if you just break it down by their last three games, they've been the fifth best in the entire league. But Detroit's pretty darn good too. Whenever they get to the red zone, they're coming away 66% of the time with a touchdown. And in their last three games too, 71.43%. That's your red zone offenses. Okay. Now, what about defense? Right? What about defense? Opponents, red zone defense. How good are these teams? Detroit's really good. They're the second best in the league, 41.94%. 41.94%. Chicago is the only team that is better than them. And their last three games, 25% allowed. 25% allowed. But the interesting part here, if you want to break it down a little bit more, they're worse at home. Detroit's 52.94% red zone defense compared to 28.5% on the road. when you look at it from the home side of things, Detroit's about middle of the pack there. So this is a good test for this Packers red zone offense that has been getting better these last couple weeks, coming away with touchdowns instead of settling for field goals. You got to test now on the road against Detroit, where Detroit second best, but based off the averages, actually they're worse at home compared to when they are on the road. Green Bay, meanwhile, going up against a very good Detroit offense in the red zone, right now 20th in red zone defense. I bring up red zone numbers a lot because I think in a lot of these matchups, and specifically for tonight's matchup, we could see a game where maybe touchdowns are at a premium, or maybe it gets into a little bit of a shootout. Regardless, you got to score points and you got to score touchdowns if you want to beat a team like Detroit. That's why I bring up these red zone numbers. And you got to try to slow down Detroit from not, blowing the doors off early in this game. I think red zone is going to be incredibly important both offensively and defensively tonight for Green Bay. Coming away with touchdowns. Coming away with 6. And hopefully the extra point there too. And not settling for field goals. You look at both of these teams too, staying on the defensive side with this one. You look at 2 safeties in this game that have been, they've been turnover machines, right? Joseph on the line, Xavier McKinney on the Packers side, obviously. But these are teams, when you look at turnovers so far this season, and turnover differential, both Green Bay and Detroit are top 10. Green Bay is +9. Detroit is a +8. Green Bay has 11 interceptions this year, but Detroit has 14. In fact, Green Bay's got 12 fumble recoveries. And that's tops, right? The league tied with Pittsburgh over there. So taking care of the football will be at a premium. Jordan Love. Okay, so last 2 weeks, Jordan Love he's been good at not throwing interceptions. However, I think we could all agree too, there's been a couple throws that have made you pucker up a little bit, like, ooh, when you're watching it live, you make that noise or something like that. It's like, oh, kind of got lucky there. Or what are you doing? Throwing it in double coverage right there. Can't do that tonight against Detroit because you got some ball hawkers in that secondary that like to make some picks, like Joseph. Okay, taking care of the football tonight, Jordan Love. Taking care of the football is going to be very important. Very important. Yeah, Kirby Joseph, 7 picks this year. Brian Branch has got 4 picks. Of all those interceptions, 11 of them coming from those 2 guys. Take care of the football in the passing game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give Detroit any extra offensive possessions. Can't do it. Can't do it. That's going to be a key. But on the flip side, Green Bay's got to figure out a way to create some turnovers. Green Bay's defense has to figure out a way to create some turnovers. And not only just create turnovers, because we've seen Jared Goff throw some picks, and they still come away with wins. So he has got the Packers have got to figure out a way to get those interceptions, like the Texas game, right? Back in early November, where he threw 5 picks. Lions still won 26-23. So if you get those interceptions, if you are able to force some turnovers from the Lions, from Jared Goff, turn those turnovers into points. Make those turnovers, convert them into points. Come away with something. Use it. Take care of the football on your side. Don't turn the ball over when you're on offense. No stupid interceptions from Jordan Love. Defensively, try to create some havoc. try to create some turnovers. When you look at the passing chart from the Lions and Packers game earlier on in November, Jared Goff's passing chart was like a ton across the middle. There was just a couple throws to the sidelines. One of them was a touchdown pass on that 4th down touchdown pass. And there was only a couple that was like 10 yards, over 10 yards. They get the ball out quick. They get the ball out across the middle to their guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, to Sam Laporta. You're gonna have Jameson Williams. I mean, they get them into their playmakers' hands. Then you got the threat of a Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery in the backfield, and those guys can be effective in the pass game, especially Gibbs. You might have to take some risks defensively in this game. Maybe you play a little more pressure coverage, man-on coverage, a little bit closer. We know Green Bay likes to play a little zone. And no Jair tonight absolutely hurts that. But if they want to limit the quicker passing game and try to get a little pressure on Jared Goff, you may have to play a little aggressive coverage. But that also puts a premium. I mean, this front, yes, you're going up against a fantastic offensive line. I know Taylor Decker's going to be missing the game in that. But Sewell might be the best right tackle in the league. I mean, he's just dominant. So if I'm Green Bay, I'm trying to figure out ways, who's my best pass rushers, and you're trying to move him around. If it's Rashawn Gary, maybe you don't line him up against Sewell the whole time. Try to figure out ways to get your best pass rushers in a position to get after the quarterback, but get after the quarterback quickly. Whether it's coming up the middle, going to the other side. You have to be able to get quick pressure on Goff and not let him be comfortable back there and just, set hut, couple seconds, ball's out. Whether that's, maybe getting a little bit of pressure, trying to get the receivers off their routes a little bit, trying to delay it. I mean, a half second, a second can make a world of difference here. Timing wise, it can make a difference. But that's why for some of my players, the players who gotta have a game, I'm looking at Quay Walker again. He has put together back-to-back weeks of fantastic football. Gets the Dolphins tied for the team in pressures. I have to imagine we're going to see Quay Walker maybe pressuring the quarterback again tonight. That Jeff Hafley is going to try to get him pressuring the quarterback a little bit more. Maybe that's coming up the middle, trying to get Jared Goff off his mark. I got to imagine Quay Walker is going to be a part of this game plan. Now, can Quay Walker, the question is, can Quay Walker put together another solid game for the 3rd straight week in a row? Can he do it? Still an unknown. But I look at him as a guy that's got to have a game, whether it's getting after the quarterback, whether it's taking down Gibbs and Montgomery, in the running game, meeting them in the hole and taking them down, not allowing those guys, those running backs, to hit the edge and run it upfield for big gains. Not allowing them, if you hit them in the hole, not allowing them to get a couple more yards. You hit them in the hole, you take them down. They don't get a couple more yards after contact. They go down right there. They're big playbacks. So I know we've been talking a lot about the passing offense with Jared Goff and that. But this is what makes this Lions offense too so dangerous and at times so unpredictable, is like, okay, you got an efficient, solid passing game with Goff and St. Brown and Sam Laporta and such. But Gibbs and Montgomery back there, man, you want to talk about a two-headed monster with those two? Gibbs, 973 yards. He's averaging 6 yards per carry this year. He's got 10 touchdowns, 81.1 yards per game. Montgomery, he's got 11 touchdowns, and he's also got 720 rushing yards. He's averaging 4.3 yards per carry, 60 yards a game. You want to talk about a little power, a little speed in there? Lions have one of the best running back duos in the entire league. We want to see how well this run defense actually has been playing. Here you go. Well, how do you help out your run defense, though, too? By controlling the clock. Offensively, controlling the clock. Getting your own running game established. Josh Jacobs. He's my pick on the offensive side for the dude who's got to have a game. Because I think so much of what the Packers want to do on offense and the success of the Packers offense is so predicated on the running game. I don't think it was by a happy accident even last year when the Packers went on that run. In that second half, that led them to the postseason. What was a big reason of it? Yes, Jordan Love was playing incredibly well and playing at a high level and maybe the best quarterback. But Aaron Jones was rushing for over 100 yards a game too. They got that running game going when Aaron Jones got back and healthy. That kind of kicked off this entire offense. Same with this year. This Packers offense runs with that running game by establishing the run, the threat of the run there. Josh Jay and controlling that clock. Green Bay's got to jump out to a lead, I feel like, in this game. Now, the thing is, the Lions aren't going to panic. Let's say tonight, Packers take the opening kick and they come away with a touchdown. Lions ain't going to fret. It's not going to intimidate them. But I feel like for Green Bay, they can't get in a shootout. They've got weapons. There's no question about it. They could put up points, but I don't think they could get into a shootout because it takes away from what they've done so well offensively this year, and that's controlling the clock. That's running the football. Taking time off that clock. I want to see this offense continue to do that. Having success early on in downs, in the early downs, first and second, not having negative yards. We've talked about penalties on this team and the lining up on offsides and false starts. You're going to go to a hostile environment. It's going to be loud, okay? It's going to be loud. You cannot afford to have stupid penalties tonight that back you up further and make it harder for your offense to pick up first downs or to score touchdowns. You got to play fundamentally sound football tonight. No mistakes. So to kind of put it all together, because I know I'm just kind of going all over the place there with different matchups and different keys of victory. Offensively, to kind of wrap it up in a nice bow. Offensively, my player that's got to have a game tonight is Josh Jacobs, controlling the clock. You know what? He might rush for 60 yards, 50 yards, something similar to what he did against Miami. But he had over 100-yard scrimmage in passing game too. He's the guy that sets the tone. Have success running the game, controlling the clock, coming away with touchdowns. Starts with Josh Jacobs. If you're on the offense, don't turn the ball over. You got a ball hawking back end secondary with the Lions. No stupid throws. No throwing it into double, triple coverage. Make good reads. Make good decisions if you're Jordan Love. Do not turn that ball over. Control that clock. Win in the red zone. You've been good in the red zone the last couple weeks. You need to be good tonight in the red zone again. Coming away with touchdowns. So controlling the clock, touchdowns, no turnovers. Defensively, you got to somehow create turnovers. If you can steal some extra possessions, got to come away with it. And on the flip side, offensively, if you get those turnovers, if your defense hands you a turnover, do something with it. Because Detroit's already proven they'll throw 5 interceptions and still win a game. So if you get that turnover, if your defense hands you a turnover, you better use it. But defensively, try to figure out to get turnovers. If you can get your hands on the ball, come away with it. Try to manufacture that. Try to get some pressure on Jordan Love or Jared Goff. You might have to move Rashawn Gary around a little bit. If he's your best pass rusher, you might have to move him around a little bit so he's not always matched up against Sewell on the right side. Try to get that it's got to be quick pressure too, early pressure. Green Bay's not a team that blitzes a lot. When you look at the blitz numbers, they're a team that does not blitz a whole lot. Will they blitz more tonight to try to get after Goff early? I wouldn't be surprised. But somehow you got to generate that pressure. It's a good offensive line, even though they're banged up and they're missing Taylor Decker. It's a good offensive line. Kenny Clark's a dude that's got to have a game tonight too, trying to get that pressure up the middle. If you can get pressure up the middle early against a quarterback like Jared Goff and trying to get him to move side, you could do that. But my guy that's got to have a game tonight, he's got to put together his third week in a row of some dang good football, and that's Quay Walker. Because Quay Walker might be that guy that's bringing pressure up the middle. Quay Walker might be that guy that's asked to go get after the quarterback. But he's also going to be responsible for Gibbs and Montgomery. And if they hit that edge, don't let them get upfield. Bring them down. Use your speed sideline to sideline, Quay Walker. Make some plays. Here's an opportunity for Quay Walker for all the talk. You know, we've been giving him praise for the last 2 weeks. Xavier McKinney, high praise, saying best middle linebacker of the game. Could be. You have an opportunity tonight to show it. Showcase why your teammate thinks you could be the best middle linebacker in the game. Show off your athleticism. Show off your speed. He's going to be a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Hafley's like, 7, we need you. You're going to be going after the quarterback at times, but you're going to be responsible for slowing down that running game. And if you get that guy, if you meet Gibbs, if you meet Montgomery in the hole, or you get to the edge, take him down. Don't let him pick up extra yardage. And if you can hold the Lions to field goals instead of touchdowns when they hit the red zone, that's a huge win. Lions are one of the better teams. They're the highest scoring team in the league. Better teams in the red zone. If you can limit them to just field goal attempts, that is a huge win for your team. So defensively, try to generate that pressure. Slow down Gibbs and Montgomery. You might have to play a little aggressive coverage with your corners if they want to employ a quicker passing game, because we know Goff and the Lions, at least in the last game against the Packers, they utilized the middle of the field a lot, getting the ball to their playmakers in space. You might have to play a little aggressive with your coverage and keep them out of the end zone. I know it's a little easier said than done, but and try to force those turnovers. Try to give your offense extra possessions. Get off the field. If you're at a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 7, dude, get off the field. Don't let them get like 3rd and if it's like 3rd and 8 and they pick up 7, you know they're going to go for it on 4th and 1. You know that's going to happen. So if you get into a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, make it 4th and 8, 4th and 9. Because you know how aggressive Detroit's going to be. Okay? Match that aggressiveness. You know that if it's 4th and 1 on their own 40, they're going to go for it. Match that aggressiveness. Don't play scared. Don't play, little safe at times. You're going to have to match the aggressiveness that Detroit plays, both in terms of game planning, but also on the field. Physical football. I could see tonight being a very physical, chatty game between these two. I could see it being physical on the field. I could see it being, a little trash talk here and there. And I could see it being an insane chess match between the play callers. This has the makings of being a fantastic game. As a Packers fan, I wish it would be a dominant blowout for the Packers, make me feel a little comfortable, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really good one. What are your picks? What are your predictions for tonight's game? Let us know. Hit us up. Okay. We're going to take a quick break here. Got to grab some water here. Man, coach speak. All right. We'll be back in just a few minutes. What's on your wish list this year? If you said a new home or maybe even a piece of land in the middle of the woods to escape to, like some hunting land or such, you are in luck because Woods and Water Realty has your wish list already available. Just visit woodsandwater.com to check out all the listings available for homes, cabins, or parcels of land. And the team of realtors at Woods and Water Realty are ready to help you find that new dream home or piece of land to build your future dream home. The realtors from Woods and Water Realty are with you every single step of the way, making the process of home buying super simple. So start looking through that wish list right now at woodsandwater.com. And hey, if you are getting a new home or you got a new home, or maybe you're looking to do some updating in your home, specifically when it comes to the flooring in your home, you're like, you know what? I just that style, that color ain't doing it for me, man. Yeah, we got to change it out. Where do you go? Carpet City Flooring Center, Wisconsin's premier flooring store. The entire team there. If you're not even quite sure what style would work the best or look the best, their team will help you out. They're so friendly, so easy to work with over there. They'll work with you to find something that works within your budget. They'll match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, but you won't. So if you're looking for that new floor, if it's like, you get into that new home and it's like, I don't want that 70s shag carpet anymore. I want some Rigid Max flooring, or I want some new carpet in the man cave. Carpet City Flooring Center can hook you up. Okay, so go visit them today. Check out their website, carpetcitywi.com, for all the different styles up there too. So, but go visit their store. That way you can talk to the friendly staff at Carpet City Flooring Center, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. All right, we only got a few minutes left to the top here. We got Brandon Berg's going to be hopping on a Thursday with us. He's going to be joining us in the next hour to the finish line here at 9 a.m. We'll do some local sports roundup with him. I know the winter sports season is in full swing. We've already had some good hockey games, some good hoops games over there too. So we'll do some local sports roundup with him. We'll catch up with Jake Boakes, DNR warden, at 8:30 for a very quick chat, just to wrap up the hunting season, and got muzzle loader going on, but also ice fishing season. It went into rifle season, instantly into ice fishing season for a lot of people. So we'll catch up with Jake coming up at about 8:30. If you do have any questions for Mr. Jake Boakes, you can send those on over to us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a text 715-830-1912. We will throw a little hoops chat in here as well. Bucks falling last night to the Atlanta Hawks. Marquette also falling to Iowa State. So both Marquette and Wisconsin losing their first games this year, or excuse me, this week. And they face each other coming up on Saturday. So who's going to be the team that loses 2 in a row for the first time this season? Will it be the Badgers? Will it be Marquette? Baseball wise, we do have a little bit of a rumor, but it's maybe for a former Milwaukee Brewer. Willy Adames. Willy Adames, according to, now we're starting to get some reports on him, according to some reports out there. There's a lot of teams that have been linked to Willy Adames. This was from Fox Sports MLB. You have the Yankees, the Giants, the Mets, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Astros, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox. And there was one Mark Feinsand, an MLB insider, MLB Network, said that Willy Adames is reportedly drawing interest from the Yankees as a plan B to Juan Soto. So again, we've been kind of talking about it. Juan Soto is that first domino to fall. Then some of these other players, they're next up, and one of those guys is Willy Adames. Willy Adames is going to cash in. He's going to cash in this offseason. And it's not going to be with the Brewers. I think that's pretty much all said and done at this point. So it's going to stink. It's going to suck missing out on Willy Adames and his charisma and his leadership and his enthusiasm within that dugout and that clubhouse. But I think we're not going to be too surprised if he moves on and cashes out somewhere else at this point. Main question now will be, is Ortiz going to be a shortstop? I think it will be. No, Bryce Terang's still kind of mentioned over there too. So, what else do we got over there? Oh, yeah, I'll also want to give a quick shout out to our good friends AJM Automotive. AJM Automotive, they're big time supporters of Backyard Dreams, and I mean they always come through with donations. They sponsored the golf outing and such, but got to give them a shout out because my wife was having some emergency stuff with her brakes and such, and she's going on a trip and that, and they were able to get her in right away, got it fixed up right away. So AJM Automotive, right on Brackett Avenue, fixed her right up with the brakes and that. So big shout out to AJM Automotive. There are big time supporters of Backyard Dreams. A lot of you are big time supporters of Backyard Dreams, but AJM Automotive always making donations for Backyard Dreams, and I know they're big time supporters with a lot of our softball teams in our area too. So big time shout out for the entire crew, John and the entire crew over there. So want to do a little tip of the cap to you guys for helping out the wife yesterday. So all right, we only got a minute left. I'll get to your texts, emails, comments on the video stream, all that good stuff. Tom from across the pond. Are we gonna hear from Tom from across the pond later on this morning? His Lions? Might have to get his take on his Lions for this matchup tonight. So, Tom, if you're listening, how do you see this one playing out? I want a prediction from you. Okay, what's the chit chat like over there? Okay, one in, two to go. Lots more to get to here on this game day Thursday. All right, join in on the convo. Hit us up with a phone call, a text, whatever is easier for you. We got some news updates. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Second hour kicking off on this game day Thursday. A big thanks to all of you for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. We've got Brandon Berg with us on a Thursday morning. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, man?
I did.
Yeah.
I ate a lot of food.
Atta boy. Oh boy, what was the best one? Put you on the spot.
Oh, come on. You can't do that. Well, one would have to be better because there's only two. That's just proper grammar.
Wow. Already coming out. That's,
you can't make me. You can't
30
make,
seconds.
You can't make me choose.
30 seconds, and I already got hit with.
You can't make me choose.
Man, all right, it's going to be that way already.
It sure is.
By the way, who are you rooting for tonight? Since you're kind of in the middle, do you want a Packers win?
I mean,
to
I
take down the Lions,
understand the Packers win probably helps more.
Yeah,
but I'll just probably be more of a conscientious observer.
Okay. God, you're so such a. Oh my gosh! All right, we'll get back to some more Packer talk here quick. G-Man says his keys to victory is Packers wideouts and tight ends. Pack win 27-24. Jeremy says keys to victory is third down defense. Packers need to force some stops and get off the field. Also includes when it's 3rd and 8. Don't let them get 6 or 7 because we all know what they will do and go for it often. Key player is the offensive line. Got to protect love and open holes for the running game. Brandon, I want to kick off because it's been a little bit here, but it's been also we've had some good games on the local scene here this week. So I want to start off with a little local sports roundup. First off, I want to start with basketball. What a huge win for McDonald girls basketball against Regis earlier this week.
Yep. Yeah. Coming from behind, they were down double digits to pick up a 42-39 win over Regis Tuesday night, conference opener for both teams. Obviously, that's a game that had a little extra panache with it, with some stuff in the offseason. But still, I mean, the bottom line is it's a battle of two very, very good teams. Two teams that obviously they're going to play again later this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if they play the playoffs at some point. So
right.
But a big win for first-year coach Sally Williams. That's a young McDonald team. It's kind of a similar story to their volleyball team, where it was a younger team that kind of found itself, and this team came, started off the year with a loss to Eau Claire North. Keep in mind that's a Division IV team playing a division, not just a Division I team, but a solid, good Division I team with the Huskies. And they lost that game, but they came back. They picked up a win over Durand, who was a team that made the regional finals last year, and then a team, a very good Regis team. So, this Western Clover Belt this year in girls basketball and boys basketball as well, but girls basketball, it's that you're going to have these matchups where those two teams are going to be in the mix. Fall Creek's going to be in that mix. I think Bloomer's a team you're going to have to keep an eye on in that mix. They're younger, but they're really athletic. So, that's going to be a kind of a battle you're keeping an eye on throughout the year, and that's just a good one to kind of get under your belt right away.
Right. Yeah. So I saw that one pop through on your. I think you tweeted. I was like, oh wow,
right.
That was a big one.
I believe the 10th straight win for McDonald over Regis, and not that long ago, it was kind of it went the other way. Regis had a really long win streak over McDonald. That's just kind of how those rivalries go sometimes. Sometimes you can't seem like you can't find a way to get a win, and then other times things kind of go your way. That's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Right. Exactly. So. And then hockey, you were at hockey. Overtime couldn't even decide it.
No, double overtime couldn't. The first, I believe that's the first tie I've ever covered in hockey, which is still a relatively newer thing. But yeah, Chippewa Falls and Eau Claire Memorial. I mean, I was kind of talking after the game with Coach Matt Lukowitz, and I said, I've seen dozens of these games, and they all kind of look like this. They were fast, they were physical, and normally at the end, it's just one team or the other kind of making a play to get the win. This was just one where, both teams kind of dug in defensively at the end, and, they skated to a tie. So that'll be, obviously that'll loom large as we get going here in conference play to see how that kind of tie works in there. But with Hudson picking up the big win
over North,
New Richmond picking up one over Rice Lake. I mean, the Big River I think is probably the best hockey conference in the state. When you just look across the board and you factor in Chippewa, Hudson, Eau Claire Memorial, Eau Claire North, and then you kind of look at the the Division II type teams that are in that mix. New Richmond's won a state title recently. Rice Lake's won a state title recently. Both River Falls and Menominee have made trips to state recently, and I think part of that is a byproduct of them playing in the Big Rivers, and they're more than adequately prepared once the postseason comes. I mean, I think you're looking at another season like that. That's just kind of a sort of brawl from start to finish when you kind of look back at it once we get to February.
So for boys basketball, because girls basketball started conference play this week, or some teams did.
Some did. The Western
Okay.
Clover Belt did. I think the Big Rivers starts at the end of the week for girls.
Okay.
And boys, I think, starts next week, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Like these, the Dunn St. Croix is going to be getting going here pretty quick. East Lakeland gets going next week. So yeah, it's that once you get past Thanksgiving week, it's kind of a full steam. Tuesday night was really the first night where it kind of felt like, okay, this is full on winter. Even though tonight's actually going to might be a little busier because you're going to have wrestling jumping into the mix. You probably have some swimming in there as well. So, but we're underway, and we've got big events. This weekend you've got both the Northwest Tip Off Classic at Stout. Which
That's always the one you talk about a lot.
It is. It's an all day. Boys basketball games all day at Johnson Fieldhouse. UW Stout, Coach Lake and his crew do a really good job of kind of putting that on throughout the day. I know it's something a lot of teams look forward to, kind of getting a chance to go and play on the big court. You got a lot of Western Clover Belt schools there, Dunn St. Croix teams. I believe Altoona's there from the middle border. A lot of, if you're looking for a place you want to go just watch a lot of local basketball,
right?
With some smaller to mid-sized schools, that's a really good place to do it. And Colfax is hosting pretty much the same thing with girls basketball.
Okay.
Where you get a lot of Western Clover Belt teams, Dunn St. Croix, and really the crown jewel matchup in that one, which should be a dandy, is McDonald and Elk Mound. We just talked about what McDonald was able to do. Elk Mound was a game from state last year, bring back a lot of that talent. They're going to be a favorite in the Dunn St. Croix. That's the last game of the night. I think that's like 8:45, approximately. Depending on how schedules go, that might be a little bit later, but that should be a doozy of a game. Otherwise, you've got, a lot of the other Western Clover Belt teams in action there as well. So, and Dunn St. Croix and, some other ones mixing in there. So that's over in Colfax. So if you got some time Saturday, you're looking for, some stuff to, some basketball to watch, you can hit up either Colfax or Menominee and you'll have a lot of it.
And you can prepare yourself too, because Brandon's done a fantastic job, Chippewa.com, for all the a lot of previews, team previews you've done, boys and
we're
girls.
getting to the end there, so that's that's good. I like being able to do that, but at the same time, you don't want those to linger too long because they're previews, not hey, the game's the season's 5 games old. So
right, but check them all out, Chippewa.com, right? It's available over there. So
and then a lot of stuff I've got kind of on the horizon once I get get past that, just as far as some different type of feature story stuff like that. So business will be picking up.
You mentioned wrestling kind of kicking off too, and I know I got a quick email shout out to Coach Jake over there at North, but North, he mentioned 72 wrestlers, one of the biggest teams in the states that they'll have.
That is an impressive
for boys wrestling.
Yeah, that's an impressive number, and obviously that's you look to coaching for that because obviously you look to coaching, you look to the kids because obviously those kids are getting other kids to go out.
Right.
That's something I hear other places too where. They're getting some of these programs are starting to get some numbers back. I know I was at Chippewa Falls here a couple of days ago, and their numbers are looking really good. And COVID kind of it impacted all the sports, but wrestling was one especially that it took a few years to kind of maybe bounce back from it. But these teams are really doing it really strongly. I know North's got the Husky Invite coming up. I think that's next weekend.
Yeah, because they're going to be at the Johnson Creek Classic this weekend.
So this weekend, there's some other ones around, but next weekend, obviously, Eau Claire North's Invite's always a big deal. That'll be coming up next Saturday, and we've got just stuff really just kind of getting underway here. I mean, once you get by Thanksgiving, it's full speed ahead for winter sports.
Yeah, and I know I think it's even next week too, right before the Husky Invite. It's the BRC Multi.
And that's something that the Big Rivers has done really since COVID. Is in a lot of cases they've gone from just straight up duels, which is one team versus another, to triangulars or quads or something like that to get more teams together to wrestle. Which is a good thing. Like I think Chippewa Falls next week hosts one tonight. They're over in New Richmond for one. So and that's just a good thing. I mean, you want to get as much time, mat time as you can, and those are also a good chance. If you got JV teams to kind of get them in the mix too on some other mats, and that was a good decision because something to remember with the Big Rivers too is they don't have a conference meet.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of rare.
Yeah,
and it was a while ago. They used to have it was called the Big Rivers Dunn St. Croix Challenge, where they just wrestled a bunch of the Dunn St. Croix teams, which on the one hand you may think, well, that Big Rivers is kind of bigger than the Dunn St. Croix, but wrestling is one of those sports where it really doesn't matter. Like if you're a good team, you're a good team. Like it doesn't matter if you're a Division III or Division I. If you're a really good Division I or Division III school, you can go wrestle a D1 team. But they just don't have that. So you've got a little bit more room in the regular season to maybe find another tournament or another one of those quads or triangulars or whatever, because you remember you've only got so many matches you can wrestle during the regular season. So you just want to make sure you're kind of filling your schedule out the best way you can.
Right. I know this week too we had some high school athletes announcing their commitments.
Right.
So those are
Yep,
going
for
on right
football.
now
Yep.
too
Yeah,
for football. So
the obviously the early signee window open for football here. So a lot of them from around the area.
Right.
I mean, just kind of flexing the muscle that this area has for football.
Right. And transitioning that, I know it just kind of came out yesterday, but did you see the news at the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association?
Did.
A
I looked.
proposal for or potentially changing the qualifications to get in for football
Yes.
playoffs this year?
Yeah, and then it's kind of what it wouldn't change is the number of teams or the number of divisions. It's just looking at kind of how teams get in, and also the kind of the way it's weighted, so to speak. Because kind of taking a quick peek at what the proposal was essentially, it kind of puts a little bit more of an emphasis on non-conference games.
Okay.
Not all games are kind of created equal,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm kind of curious about, because like you get more wins for, say, if you play and win a non-conference game against a Division I team versus, say, a really good Division IV team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious, schedule-wise, how that might work, because obviously, some of these teams, obviously a D7 team isn't going to go play a D1 team, but
Right.
are you going to, when teams put out these schedules, if they're having that in mind, might some of these other teams kind of be a little bit harder for them to find games, just because maybe they are a little smaller. So I mean, that's something I'll kind of be touching base with some coaches and stuff on, just to see,
Right.
because it's a change,
right.
And then it's
how much of it does it go off when does it relate to the WIA acknowledging that they had errors with that left like Madison West out and Greenfield out?
I don't know if it has too much to that. I mean, this is just something I think that's always a conversation. You're always looking for ways to make things better. And within the last few years, we've seen it with some other sports as well, with changing. The big thing is kind of going away from the quote unquote seating meetings to having it seated electronically, which has its positives and negatives, but it's a system that Ohio uses. And I think that it seems like Ohio on the whole is pretty happy with. So I think it's just the Coach Association bringing something to the forefront, saying, hey, this is something that works somewhere else. This is something we think has some merit. What do you guys think?
Right.
It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to pass. It doesn't mean it's, guaranteed to fail. It's just something that's being presented to kind of maybe get that conversation going a little bit.
Seems like if it's not every year, it's every couple of years. There's something with football that they're tinkering with, whether it's a conference realignment.
The conference realignment is constant. But yeah, with football, I mean, it's just constantly changing. We've talked about it a lot, but with the rise of 8-man, you've got, now you're having more teams moving in that direction.
Right.
And that just leaves fewer teams for the 11-player field.
Right.
And that was kind of one of the things that it came down to with the two teams you mentioned that didn't get in, because there was a tiebreaker rule that was applied incorrectly. And it's just that's just kind of unfortunately the nature of the beast sometimes, where stuff happens where there's a mistake here or there, and it's unfortunately not caught in time.
Right. Yep. Really quick, good stuff there from Brandon's, from some local prep stuff. College-wise, Stout women's basketball just picked up a win against Superior. Men's basketball picked up a win against North Central University from Minnesota. Coming up here in the next couple days here, you got men's hockey taking on Point and Superior coming up here. So it's also going to be a busy weekend for the Blue Gold basketball. If you haven't checked out this team's a lot of fun to watch. They picked up their 4th straight win. They defeated Crown, but they're going to be at home this weekend taking on Superior, and that's also they're going to be doing a ceremony for Ken Anderson, who got inducted to the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame. So Coach Anderson, some of his former teammates or former players, going to be there. It's going to be a really fun time. So they're going to be taking on Superior this weekend. Also, women's basketball is going to be after that. So the men's game's at 3. Women's basketball is going to be after that. But right 2 o'clock, you got hockey going on. So, I mean, you could go walk back and forth over there from Hobbs to the Sonnentag and watch some hockey if you want over there too. So it's going to be a busy time for this weekend. Yeah, women's hockey is going to be taking on Superior at 2 o'clock. Men's basketball 3 o'clock. Women's basketball is at 5 o'clock. And then men's hockey is taking on UW River Falls, number 10 River Falls. So busy weekend coming up here for the
Right,
Bluebirds.
and a quick shout out if I can. It's local in a WIAC way, but
Mhm,
shout out to my alma mater. The UW Oshkosh volleyball team fell in the national quarterfinals for volleyball
mhm.
last night. So some local connections on that team. Sammy Prover, Chippewa Falls is a really emerged as a standout on that team. Kind of Barone from Cadot's a volunteer assistant coach on that team. A lot of other connections there, and yeah, just I mean, they made it that pretty far last year as well, but
Mhm.
obviously kind of flexing the strength of the WIAC there with making it to the the Elite Eight, so to speak.
Exactly. So, all right, we're gonna take a quick break. Jeff, I've been waiting to bring up your question that you sent because, well, it's a brewer question, and Brandon's here with us, so we'll discuss that. So hang on tight, Jeff. We'll get to that. Also, we got some more predictions for tonight's game. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Are you hosting family and friends for the holiday season this year? Hey, that can be pretty stressful trying to figure out what to prepare, who likes what, and what to eat, and so on. So you can take some of that stress off your plate though by simply visiting Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether you'll be tackling the cooking yourself or you need help preparing some of the meals this holiday season, Hy-Vee can help you out in so many different ways. Plus, if you're looking for some gifts, you got the team shop over there. They've got a bunch of toy aisles over there too for the kiddos if you're looking for gifts for them, or stocking stuffers like some man cave lights. No, those are good stocking stuffers.
A great stocking stuffer,
right? So grab a 6-pack of that and put one in each stocking there. Grab some Dan Good Burgers for your Christmas meal as well. Hy-Vee's got everything over there. Gift cards for other places too. Gift cards are fantastic stocking stuffers as well. I forgot I was going to ask you while you're doing your local sports roundup, then I got sidetracked. But I want to give a shout out to, because her husband's I think he's still a listener. I haven't heard from Bloomer Tony in a while. But Carla Bloomer, I know you've talked about her and the cross country team many times, but she was named WCCCA District 1 Coach of the Year, and one of her runners, Ciara
Hartman,
District 1 Athlete of the Year.
Yeah,
so
Bloomer this past year finished second in Division 2 at state. Ciara Hartman, I believe, was second individually. I mean, that's a very talented group that's going to be, coming back strong again next year. And obviously she's done a great job, working with a great group of kids. And that's a group of athletes you're going to be hearing. You've already heard a lot about these first, year plus, and you're going to be hearing a lot of it in the next few years.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention that. My apologies. Because our good friend Bloomer Tony, that's his wife. So congratulations. If
Coach Carla Favila,
yeah. I haven't heard from Bloomer Tony in a while. So, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he still listens. Anyways, let's we had a Jeff a little bit earlier had texted this. So does Willie Adames not want to play for the Brewers, or the Brewers just could not afford him if he goes to the Yankees or the Dodgers? How do teams compete with that kind of money in the future? We seem to lose a lot of good players just because we can't afford them. Would a salary cap help in Major League Baseball or hurt Major League Baseball? Pretty soon it's just going to be the Yankees and the Dodgers show. Well, yeah, I can't afford them. 2, there will never be a salary cap in baseball anymore.
Players will never agree to that. Owners will never agree to that.
No. Some owners might. But the more influential ones.
Right. It's one of those things where you can't kind of put the toothpaste back in the tube. I know that, football, basketball, hockey all have it, but, baseball hasn't had it for so long that they're not going to suddenly do it.
Right, because if you wonder why wouldn't baseball do that, salaries would go down then at some, and players don't want the salaries to go down.
Right.
So,
the one thing I think would be interesting, and again, there would be certain owners that would not be in favor of this, would be salary floor.
Yeah, that's what the NFL kind of has too, where you have to spend a certain amount of money. I think it's like through a 5-year period or 3-year period, or you get penalized.
Right.
So,
that would, because there are, obviously we can look at what's going on with Oakland, but there are certain owners that just don't spend, or at least maybe as much as they could to be a little bit more competitive. For them, it's kind of profits over wins, but
right.
That is honestly, a salary floor is something I would be interested in.
I would too.
It's not you're not gonna have a salary floor of $150 million, but you're gonna get all these. You're not gonna get a team with a $28 million payroll or whatever Oakland had here recently, whatever it was.
Yeah. So I think I don't want to speak for him, but I think Willie Adames would love to play for the Brewers again. It's just that he can't offer him what these other teams
and
can offer.
It might not be close.
Right.
It's not like we're talking about a difference of $1 million a year over 6 years or something like that.
Especially if he is that plan B option for teams outside of Juan Soto.
Right. And a lot of teams are looking at him too as, he could be a shortstop, but he's, it sounds like he said hey, in the right situation, he'll play third base. He'll maybe even play second base. He's willing to, go somewhere where, maybe he has to change positions and, maybe ultimately, move to third base is best for him because his defense, last year did kind of take a little bit of a hit just with some of what the advanced metrics say. And just naturally that's going to happen when you get older anyway.
Right.
We all lose a step or two when we get older, but he's still,
unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well,
a little bit there, but still, he's still ruined quarterbacks for everybody.
Right. He just, it's one of those things where, all things being equal, he probably would stay, but all things unfortunately aren't equal.
Exactly. What about so I know I shouldn't be shocked if it does happen, but, you hear the Dodgers and Juan Soto, and, like, if that were to happen, I'm like, for crying out loud, I don't know if I can watch baseball then. But and maybe it's already gone too far down where they can't do it. Should Major League Baseball have done something with deferred money, where teams can't
It might
defer?
be something they do in the future because this hasn't really been an issue before. I mean, we've
Mhm.
seen teams do it. Obviously, the Bobby Bonilla example is kind of the example where the Brewers have done it. The Brewers have done it.
Yep.
I mean, they're paying
They're still
Lorenzo
paying Ryan Braun
and
too.
Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah.
They're going to be paying Christian Yelich after he's retired.
Yep.
But it's not significant.
Mhm.
Where and maybe and honestly, it's one of those things where maybe you just kind of tip your hat to the Dodgers because no one's ever really thought about doing it at this level.
Mhm.
I mean, that money now, it's kind of the idea of like when you look at football and you look at teams always pushing money down the road, and it's something the Vikings did a lot when Kirk Cousins was around, just because you're trying to obviously he made a decent amount of money, and you're trying to keep yourself a little flexible, and it always frustrated him. Like why do that? And I heard somebody explain it really well, where they said like $2 million 2 years from now is not the same as $2 million now. When you factor in generally the salary cap every year is going up.
Right.
So when you have $210 million to spend, $2 million versus when you have $230 million to spend, what $2 million is.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, I think, the way the Dodgers are looking at this is that, you look 10, 15, 20 years down the road, with whatever, how much money it is for, say, Ohtani or whatever, like,
Mhm.
in theory, it's not as much as it would be if you paid him right now.
Right.
But with that said, I agree. I think at some point you need to look at that because otherwise then you're going to have, that's going to be a real issue.
Right. And for the player sense, at that point, they may be towards the end of their career and be like, "Hey, I'm getting all this money, and if I still continue to play, I'm probably not playing at the highest level at my
Right.
peak, but I'm getting a
You're
lot more
getting
money."
yeah. And if you're already set up well enough now where I mean
Because he's
you're
getting endorsements too and
right.
all
It's
that.
not like
So
he's starving for money.
right.
But it is something I think at some point they're going to have to look at
Mhm.
because otherwise you're right. Then you're going to have situations like this.
Right. I don't know if this is going to be a part of your Festivus coming up here. By the way, Festivus, December 23rd.
Yes.
VFW Post 305. That we are officially less than 3 weeks away
Woo!
From this. So stop on
All
by.
right, I do have my number one.
Okay, you do.
And
have
it
your
is number one with a bullet.
So I'm going to ask you this, and if it is, just cut me off. The Golden Bat thing.
It is not.
Okay.
But it might be.
Okay. So you're not in favor of this.
I am not.
Okay.
And maybe this is my fault because I will say last week at Thanksgiving, I was talking with my mom and actually gave Rob Manfred credit for something. And maybe this is just me getting bit by that. But what a gimmicky, dumb idea. Like,
go off, Brandon. Come on, man.
Maybe, you know what? I mean, we'll see how festive it goes. If you poke and prod me the right way that day, maybe I will. But it's just like.
Do you buy what he said that it's gaining traction at these meetings and that?
Maybe it's gaining traction because he's telling guys, hey, it'd be a really good idea.
Right.
And
more people are talking about it, but it's not necessarily they're in favor of it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's like that play on words a little bit.
I mean, he is a former lawyer, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's like, I feel like, okay, I use this example. My 7-year-old would probably love it. Because, it's like, oh, I'll just, insert. It's like a video game. Like, I'm going to put my best batter in there.
Yeah.
And all that
Hey,
sort of stuff,
Ohtani's
like,
coming up.
Like, right. But like for me, where I struggle with this is like, part of it is like, okay, let's paint the scenario. It's game 7, full count, bases are loaded. Your 9th hitter's up. Usually not your best hitter, right?
Right.
And then, cool, you could sub whatever. But I like that moment where that 9th hitter
gets that chance,
and they get that walk off, and it's like
those moments are great when they happen organically.
Yes.
And remember back to the last WBC when we had Ohtani
and Trout,
and that was an organic moment for the on the final at bat of the tournament. Like what made that moment so cool was it happened organically.
Yep.
And this is the thing, like I've brought up, and it's completely unrelated, but I think the example kind of has some relation to like in NASCAR with their playoff series. Like people always look at like the 1992 Winston Cup Series points chase as like the greatest of all time because you went to the last race with 5 drivers with a legitimate chance to win the championship. And that was under when it was just you race all year and whoever has the most points wins. It just so happened that was such a great year where you had 5 drivers going in the last race that had a chance for it. It was so great because it just organically happened that way. Now with the way they do it, it's manufactured drama.
Right.
No matter what happened, to me, it would be like if you play the Super Bowl, and no matter who is winning at the end of the third quarter, suddenly it became you change the score so it was a one-score game.
Right.
The Chiefs could be up 50-0 on somebody, but you get to the start of the fourth quarter, oh, the Chiefs are only up 20-13 now. What's going to happen? It's like it's just manufactured drama, and to me, that takes away from it. And to me, that's a little bit what this is. Yeah, would it be fun at first? But maybe. But I'm with you. I like that opportunity that hey, it's a Sal Frelick that maybe is up in that spot instead of a Christian Yelich. Now, that may
Well, look at what happened. I mean, Sal
exactly,
Frelick
and
hit that,
that's
and
what makes it so fun. Is you never know.
right, exactly. So that's why I don't like it, because I like those moments.
Yeah, imagine 2011, like you don't have the Nigel Morgan moment. Maybe it's a Ryan Braun or Prince Fielder moment.
It's funny you say that, Brandon, because that's the example I used yesterday.
Yeah.
I know I keep bringing up that game, but like I was there, and I remember me and my buddies were like, Morgan, just don't screw it up, because
Right.
Braun was up next, and Braun was on that tear.
Right.
And you're like, just don't screw it up. Don't screw anything up. Get up.
Yeah.
Let Braun get up. But then Morgan hits it up, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And someone else had that moment. Like, yeah, it's just gimmicky to me. Like, it's just a gimmicky, I don't say a cash grab, but attention grab.
I like this example. Timmy G says, agree. Is Aaron Boone anybody without the walk-off?
Right, yeah.
That moment.
2003 for the Yankees in the or the ALCS against the Red Sox.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. You don't have that moment.
Let somebody be a hero.
Right.
Unfortunately, Brewers fans can look at David Freese.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Or Chris
that's that postseason for David Freese.
Right. Like
ridiculous.
Instead of like every time it's like, well, we're gonna, smooth this, the same person up. And yeah, it's great that, Ohtani will get some ninth inning at bats when they're trailing or something. But like, no, it just screams gimmick to me.
So like my question I was throwing out yesterday, like I'm not in favor of it, but like, could this scenario happen? Like, what would have to happen? So, say it's again bottom ninth, the tying run is or whatever winning runs on third, but second and first is open. You're like, okay, we're gonna put Ohtani up there. Say it's like sixth in the lineup. Ohtani comes up,
walk him.
But okay, but what if Ohtani was originally the seventh batter? You know what I mean? Like, can he bat back to back then?
Yeah.
And do you have a ghost runner? Do you have a base runner that
right,
goes for
yeah,
him?
that's a good question. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because you're right. I would say take your base,
yeah,
but then what if his original at bat was like the spot before?
Right. Like, is there only a certain window? Like, if you're hitting second, can you only hit like sixth or seventh or eighth technically in the lineup order? Or what? Yeah, you're right. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if Rob Manfred knows.
Yeah. So John says, good morning, Dan Brandon. I don't like the golden at bat rule. To me, it takes away hits from the players that are trying to stay on the team.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, just give somebody that chance.
Yep. Yeah. There's been
like, if it works out that way organically, great.
And like you said, organically, one of the images I went to is one of my favorite games I watched as a kid all time. Game 7, Diamondbacks, Yankees, Luis Gonzalez up against Mariano Rivera.
Right.
Luis Gonzalez was a really good hitter. Just happened, and it worked out.
Right.
So, yeah, don't take away those moments.
Right.
I agree with you. I like how you said that, manufactured.
Yeah,
drama.
It's just manufactured drama. It's like, well, the more, it's the law of diminishing returns. The more something happens, the less enjoyment you're going to get out of it.
Right.
If the Brewers let's say the Brewers lose a series to the Cubs, and then every one of those games they have a chance to tie the game in the ninth, and William Contreras gets moved in that spot. It's just like, oh, well, this is happening again. Like, it's not, to me, it's just manufactured. Like, I don't like it.
Right. I mean, for crying out loud, at this point, Harry Rowengartner probably never would have batted in Rookie of the Year.
Right.
And never would have, stolen that base and thrown errors and scored and all that. So I had to throw some sort of base. I was trying to think of maybe Jake Taylor probably wouldn't hit in Major League.
He might not. Would Serrano hit in that spot?
That's a good point. See, we could go a bunch of different ways on this one. Oh, man. All right, we got to take a quick break. Let's do a little receiver defer to close up the second hour before we get back to some more football talk here. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. When was the last time you looked up into the left-hand corner of your windshield at the oil change sticker? Hey, now you realize it's been a while because you are overdue for a change. Where to go? Simple. ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only is ASAP Used Auto Parts your go-to spot for high-quality used auto parts, they're your go-to spot when it comes to oil changes too. Don't wait any longer. Get that oil change today by giving ASAP Used Auto Parts a call at 715-514-4501. Got people riled up with the golden bat rule here this morning. I like it. C-Bomb saying golden bat rule is too gimmicky. I hate it. I'm not a fan of the pitch count. I'm okay banning the shift, even though I think the D should be able to play wherever they want. I think they are trying too hard with all these rule changes the past few years. What's next? Move the mound to 65 feet so hitters can see the pitcher better. So, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I think Luke was the only one who was like, he was okay with it, like intrigued with it. But again, I feel like if I asked my 7-year-old, he'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. You know, it's like kids would love it. So,
like I said, I just think it's the law of diminishing returns.
Right. Exactly. And I almost like, if I'm that ninth hitter, I'd be like, thanks for the confidence, coach.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, oh boy. All right, let's actually finish up the second hour with a little receive or defer here, Brandon. Receive or defer? This will be the last year of the Luke Fickell era coming up in 2025. There's some damning stuff coming out. I don't know if you saw.
There is.
Like from high school coaches, they're not happy. It's giving me Gary Anderson vibes a little bit.
A little bit. I'm going to still say defer, though.
Okay.
I'm going to say he does enough next year, even though that schedule next year is tough.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he does enough next year. I'm not saying he's the guy, the forever coach, but I'm saying he does make it, just trying to play the odds here.
Right. I know there's some people on Colton Bartholomew. I just saw he posted it, and I haven't had a chance to read it, but one argument, defenders or whatever you want to call them for Luke Fickell, said, well, he doesn't have his guys. Well, my counter to that is you look at some of the guys who did come over transfer and how many of them are already leaving.
Right. Yeah.
That to me is like, okay, his guys though that he brought over are already leaving.
Right. And I don't know if we're going to get into this anymore today, beyond this, as far as talking about the Badgers.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I don't know, because otherwise then we can expand then.
No, let's expand now.
But it's just the one and look, I'll be on record. I was all in favor of the hire. I don't think that just because Luke Fickell struggled, that means that getting rid of Paul Chryst was a bad decision. I still think that move had to happen. But I don't think it's a great sign when it's 2 years in and you're trying to fundamentally change what you're doing. Like, obviously, the offense is going to change. He said so much in his press conference yesterday. The defense, it sounds like they're going to they're changing their personnel. Maybe going a little bit heavier on the D-line, which I think is a good move. I think both the things are the things you want to do. But when you're 2 years into somewhere and you're saying, okay, well, we better change this. Like, that shows that maybe you didn't have the best vibe for it right off the bat.
Exactly.
And while it's good to have the ability to say, hey, we need to change this, it's not good that you have to.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned next year with the schedule too. And like, I'm trying to figure out what should the expectation be for next year because of that schedule. You don't have an offense coordinator now. Who's the quarterback for next year?
Right. We don't know.
What
does the team look like? Obviously, there's just going to be significant turnover with transfer portal and and other stuff. So
should the goal just be 6 wins to become bowl eligible?
Is it? And if so, I mean, that barring something crazy this offseason, like this is going to be a very milquetoast feeling, I think, going into next year. Where you're just going to have a couple. I mean, even just talking with obviously so many people I know that are Badger fans. There's like,
right.
There's just no reason to be excited. Like you said, we're still looking for that first signature win.
Right.
And when you can't grab it, and they had the opportunities against Penn State, against Oregon, and then you play honestly your 3 worst games of the year against Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. You can't do that.
No.
Like, even if you lose those games, you still got to beat. That trophy case is empty. You've got nothing.
Right.
Besides, I think they still have like the the slab of bacon from the early days of the Minnesota trophy. Like, and they play it again, they probably lose that too.
Right.
Like, right now, it's tough. It's an uphill climb, big time for Luke Fickell.
I think the frustrating part too is like this is defense played incredibly well against Oregon, and then you followed up by 44 points against Nebraska.
Yeah, they just never couldn't they could never put together a game in all 3 phases. And
Mhm.
against Nebraska, the offense was good.
Mhm.
And then you come back in that Minnesota game, and the defense helped them hang around. Like, they weren't bad, but the offense just couldn't do anything. Like, they just could never play offense and defense at a high level at the same time, especially against a halfway decent to good to great team.
Right. And then, because this was from the Athletic, I saw some of the quotes from like high school football coaches
Right.
with the recruiting wise.
Jesse Temple's
Jesse Temple,
pieces.
yeah. And there's like some coaches are like, yeah, they're they're not keeping the good players in states. You heard some players even talking about they didn't feel like they had a relationship with their coaches and all that. I'm like, I am getting Gary Anderson vibes again
Right.
with this whole thing.
Right, because remember, that was the big thing when Barry Alvarez came was, build a wall around Wisconsin, keep the Wisconsin kids, and that was something that Brett
Mhm.
Bielema continued to do.
Right.
And, Paul Chryst did a better job of, even though, obviously the recruiting at the end for Chryst was, we've heard those stories about how that kind of went awry, but still, like
Mhm.
it did seem like there was that emphasis.
Right. So I don't know if that's going to be something that change, but it's really weird because remember that like before you even coached a game, I remember seeing billboards
Right, yeah.
all over,
It was
like
it was
even right
Eau
here.
Claire.
Yeah. And like all this and just like, okay, they're
Yeah.
really focused. And apparently not. Was
Right.
it all talk? Was it all a marketing
Uh,
ploy? Because if you got high school football coaches saying, yeah, no, nope, not hearing anything, or they're not doing a really good job. And
Right.
one coach said, I think we're a complete afterthought. I don't think they are really concerned. I really believe they have focused their attention on national recruiting. Maybe we don't have the best players, and maybe they think the best players are elsewhere. But I beg to differ because I could give you 20 players right now that if they were on their team, they'd have the same record or they'd be better, in my opinion. And like there was one, I think it was Northern Illinois, their entire offensive line was like all Wisconsin kids.
Right, the Thomas Hammond connection,
Yeah.
who was a running back coach with Badgers.
Mhm.
Obviously he gets it.
Yeah. So I don't know, but
Yeah.
and to be fair, there are other coaches. There's one coach here that says everybody's going to say they're doing a poor job recruiting. It's not the case at all. Coach Fickle has great energy. He's a terrific coach. Each staff is looking for a game changer and what they feel is going to be your best opportunity to develop into turning a program around.
And I have seen examples of like their coaches kind of bopping around the state, seeing like,
Mhm.
different, high school coaches, especially even in this area, kind of saying, hey, thanks for stopping by, whoever from, the Badger staff. So I think it's just going to depend, but, coach to coach. But,
Mhm.
Now we're kind of be able to notice trends.
Yep. Yeah.
And
And like one coach said they were really good early, but now it's kind of transition to where, sort of thing. So
we'll see. I mean, and honestly, this is a gigantic month of December for Luke Fickell for them not having a game.
right.
When you factor in, okay, who's the offensive coordinator going to be? That's going to have an impact on, maybe who ultimately might end up transferring because maybe it's not a fit.
Right.
Will that whoever they bring, if they bring in someone from the outside as a coordinator, does that coordinator have a quarterback they already have in mind that maybe they bring in as that transfer?
And the unique thing too with college, you can make those lateral jumps. Whereas, like the
Yeah,
NFL,
you can go be an
it's
offensive
a little bit
coordinator
hard.
from one place to another.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like the NFL where it has to be an upgrade.
Right. So I mean, you have that, but I don't know, like is there a guy out there that is like in a good spot, be willing to come over to Wisconsin that
Who
might
knows?
be in a sitting duck type of year sort
Yeah,
of thing?
that's tough.
Or a head coach that wants to go back to being an offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly to Ohio State,
Gus
or Gus
Malzahn.
Malone. Yep, going to Florida State now. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's going to be very interesting because it just never, and we've talked about this, it just never seemed like Longo was on the same page with Fickell, which
Right.
is interesting because like you kind of knowing the kind of offenses that Longo runs, like you kind of knew what you were getting into. Maybe he figured they'd be a little bit more run heavy given his past because they really weren't, but like it just never seemed like it worked, especially for like a defensive guy like Luke Fickell. You thought when you think of generally what kind of offenses do defensive coaches like?
Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know. Yeah, is it fair to say, because you and I are the same age, I don't remember. I mean, my first memories of Badger football were Barry Alvarez, just like ones I can remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember heading into an offseason like this. Yes, there were coaching changes and all that, but like where you're like, oh crap.
Right. It's
like,
yeah.
you don't feel good about
And
anything.
right now, they just don't have the benefit of the doubt. Like you can go out there and say they land some big time transfers. Like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But like, you're not going to get the same energy that you had the last 2 years for maybe some of those type of players because there's just more of a track record. Like even going back to, the last time Badgers didn't make a bowl was 2001. and that was under Barry Alvarez. And yeah, that was under Barry Alvarez. Like, but still, like you were also coming off 2 straight Rose Bowls. So I think maybe there was a little bit more of a grace period. Like, okay, this was just a bad year. This is
Right.
just a down year.
Yep, I agree.
Whereas this is, you're just kind of wondering because it's kind of straying from the blueprint. You got people kind of wondering, okay, is this just kind of going awry as opposed to a blip in the radar?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. So
We'll see.
well, definitely going to be a big month here. So we only got about a couple minutes to the top here. So we'll talk some more football coming up next hour.
We
here and
received
such,
and
so.
deferred one.
That's all we needed at that. It was a big one, right?
It was.
But look at this. Adam Schefter just tweeted this out. Heading into tonight's pivotal Packers-Lions game, no other NFL team has more than 7 defensive players on injured reserve. Detroit, though, 13 players on injured reserve from the defensive side. Can Green Bay, with their offense, take advantage of that? What are your thoughts? You can hit us up, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Tony was commenting on our video stream. I missed Bloomer Tony's comments over there. Still listener. Got a new phone, and for some reason my texts don't come through. Well,
Fun with
stupid
technology.
phone. All right. Shot clock's going to cut us off here. Bucks also, they fell last night. Marquette fell, which means Badger basketball and Marquette losing their first games this week, and now those two face each other on Saturday. What are you giggling about over there?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. Something you saw?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, but maybe we'll try to throw a little hoops talk in here too.
Basket hoops
Before we get to it. So, yeah, that's going to cut us off here. So, otherwise, we'll get back to some more football talk. Thursday night football tonight. Big NFC North one. Who's Brandon cheering for as the team in the middle? Is he hoping for a Packers win so it gets the lines down a little bit so he gets his team up in the first place, or he just cannot cheer for the Packers? All right. 2 hours in. We got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third hour kicking off right now on this Thursday morning. Hopefully you're all off to a absolutely fantastic start. We've got Brandon Berg with us on a Thursday morning. And afterward, Brandon and I are going to be recording our pod, our top 5 rivalry trophies, rivalry games. So trophies.
Oh, I went just for football.
Football. Right. Yeah. That's right.
And I went college football.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So we'll open it up to you if you have any.
Yeah.
You don't have to give us your top 5, but if you have a favorite one out there, just hit us up.
I will just say, I think my number 1's going to surprise some people.
Really?
It's not what you think.
Yeah. Interesting. Little tease there.
Little tease.
I like the tease. So, and we're doing the trophies, not the games itself.
No,
just
the trophies. But
trophies.
there'll be some background on the games. But yeah, it's the trophy itself.
Okay.
As we're coming off, obviously, rivalry week in college football. So many, the Axe, all the other ones. Like,
what do you think is the best rivalry in all of sports? Just general, because I did this a couple weeks ago. Like so the one I want to ask you, because you're the perfect person I would ask. Do you consider Army Navy a rivalry, like in terms where they hate each other, even though they're like?
I think it's. I don't think they.
It's a weird one, right?
Yeah, it's not hate. Like there's respect there, but they like.
They don't want to lose that game,
right? That's Like when you see, at the end of that, which that game is coming up next week, but like when you see the thing with Army Navy is always sing second, because after the game, both teams will sing their songs, and the team that's you always have the loser goes first.
Right.
And then when you're the team that gets to sing second, that's kind of like the battle cry, so to speak.
Yep.
Like, so yeah, it's built on it's a tradition, like it's rivalry built on respect, but it's still one you want to win. Like so
yeah, I still say it's Michigan, Ohio State, and I think it took another level.
I was gonna say I don't think that they did anything to quell that last week. That might be my pick, and especially because the last few years have been so important.
When you're talking about a position where you can win every other game, but if you lose Michigan, you might get fired. That to me is like, okay,
yeah.
You literally you could win almost every other game, and they have before, and lose Michigan, and people are calling for your job.
Right.
I wish Yankees and Red Sox were like what they were early 2000s.
Yeah, early to mid 2000s, it would be hard to ignore that because they were everywhere. It was you're playing in the NLCS, like you've got. I mean,
you could tell they hated each other.
Right.
That just like there's.
And you had Yankees as that juggernaut, the Red Sox kind of ascending to become that really big successful team again.
Yep. So for my list, is it okay if there's like some D3?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
This is not it's not D1 specific.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there too. So okay, cool. Packers Lions. By the way, coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll catch up with Jake Boakes, our conservation ward buddy, coming off of the deer gun season. Muzzleloaders going on right now, and even ice fishing is going on right now. People out on the ice already.
Be careful.
Yeah. So we'll hit up Jake and talk about that. It's coming up here a little bit, but we do have Packers Lions going at it tonight, 7:15 kickoff. Not a lot of times do we get a matchup like this for a Thursday night game.
Right.
It actually works out. It might actually be the best game of the weekend, or one of the best games of the weekend here. So Lions are really banged up. We just mentioned it. 13 guys on the defensive side alone are on injured reserve. No Taylor Decker on the offensive line for the Lions tonight. No Jair, no Romeo Dobbs, even though they practiced this week. So how does Green Bay win this one, Brandon? As an outside observer for this, how do they go into I was going to say Dallas. How do they go into Detroit?
It'd be a little bit easier to run to Dallas.
That's true. How do they go into Detroit and get a win?
I think defensively, they have to be able to be tough against the run. I'm not saying you're going to slow down that combination, but you can't get run over. And I think the team that wins this game will be the team that forces their opponent to kick field goals.
Yeah.
I think both teams are going to move the ball. I think it's just a matter of who's that team that gets a couple stops, maybe even in the red zone, that, the difference between a touchdown and having to kick a 35-yard field goal.
I agree. The red zone, right? And Green Bay's been better the last few weeks with their red zone, but they're going up against a team that's been pretty good at stopping. I was looking up the numbers in the first hour. It's weird because Detroit is actually really good on the road in red zone defense. They're worse at home. So, that's you'd have to almost look at every single game by game, I think, case at that point. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's who's going to be the team that's going to be, and Detroit overall is the second best red zone defense just behind Chicago. So I agree. Whoever can hold it to, because you're right. I could see this game either being trying to, score a bunch of points, or it's just kind of a little bit of a struggle back and forth, where points are at a premium. I could see it going a bunch of different ways with tonight. I also feel like the team that doesn't turn the ball over, which is really, well, duh, but capitalizes on those turnovers. Like Detroit's already proven Jared Goff could throw 5 picks and they still win a game. They did it this year against the Texans. And Jordan Love has thrown some stupid interceptions this year. And even the last couple games when he hasn't thrown a pick, there's been a couple times where I think everybody's kind of puckered up, like, that was close. You got 2 ball hawking safeties, with Joseph on one end and Xavier McKinney on the other. So if you are the team that can force the turnovers, but your offense can not turn the ball over, I think it's going to go a long ways here too. And then plus, I think Green Bay's just got to have those 7-minute drives again.
Yeah.
Keep those, but coming away, to go with what you said, coming away with those touchdowns too. How do you stop if Detroit does what they did in their first matchup? Because you look at the passing graph from that game, Jared Goff threw like 2 or 3 balls to the sidelines and like 2 or 3 past 10 yards. Everything was over the middle or right at the line of scrimmage, getting the ball in his playmaker's hands in space. How do you slow that down? How do you stop that? And especially when he's getting it out quick. Can you at that point? Obviously, Green Bay's a team that doesn't blitz a whole lot. Do they got to blitz more in this game, do you think?
Big night for the interior rush, trying to get up in Jared Goff's face. I mean, he's a guy that if you get him off a spot, he can be a little bit inaccurate. And I think that's going to be, that's going to have, that pressure's going to have to come up the middle.
Right. That's where I look at a guy like Quay Walker. Can he have a 3rd game in a row where he's been pretty darn good? I honestly don't know yet at this point. So as a Vikings fan who is a, as you said, casual observer or whatever it was, whatever you said before, ideally, what would be the best outcome for your Vikings, in your opinion?
I mean, I guess it would probably be the Packers win. But I mean, as you said, though, it is always tough for me to cheer for the Packers, as it is tough for you to cheer for the Vikings when that situation arises. But I mean, I would think that would probably be it, because the Vikings are a game behind the Lions, and that could be a battle for the number 1 seed with Philly up there too. So I guess that would be it. I mean, I guess the good news for me is I don't necessarily have to pick. I'm just going to watch. Whatever happens, happens. I guess the worst case scenario, honestly, is a tie, because ties mess it up. And then suddenly you lose any possible tiebreakers, quote unquote, because assuming the Vikings win tie game themselves, if you're 12-5 and the Packers end up 12-4-1, well, guess what? The Packers are the better seed. So to me, the worst outcome is Viking fans a tie.
Yeah.
Because that just goofs it up.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, there's a real chance, though, Brandon. These 3 teams could finish 14-3.
Yeah.
Green Bay obviously has to win out. The one loss for Minnesota would have to be against Green Bay. And then Detroit would have to lose to Green Bay and Minnesota. Not completely out of the realm.
Not crazy.
And so you would have 3 teams in one division that could be 14-3. I can't think of another division where there was 3 teams where they just had 3 losses.
Right.
I can't. And I'm trying. I mean, there's been teams where there's been 2 really good teams at the top, but if you're talking about 3 teams potentially finishing the season with just 3 losses apiece, holy crap! Like,
right.
And the thing is like, if that's gonna happen, like the wild card teams, like let's say it is Minnesota and Green Bay. I'll tell you right now, I'm picking Minnesota and Green Bay to win their wild card games, regardless of who.
It would be against the South and the West,
right?
Whoever whoever that would be.
And right now, I don't really fear any of those teams.
No.
Maybe a team like the 49ers, if they all of a sudden got healthy, but McCaffrey's not coming back.
Like, I just feel like, I don't know, like, you never want to count a team like that out, because they're still only, 2 games out?
Yeah.
But, man, now with McCaffrey being out and Mason being out, like, it's just, it kind of just feels like it's just one of those years for them, where, everything just kind of didn't go their way, and, they just had some bad breaks.
Yeah. Which I don't quite get the whole talking out there that Shanahan could be gone.
Yeah, no.
Have you seen that stuff? Like, there's even like some people saying, hey, maybe Chicago, pair him up with Caleb Williams and a young offense and all that. I don't really fault Shanahan for this year.
Right? Is it Shanahan's fault everyone's getting hurt?
Right. I don't fault like. I feel like that'd be a stupid mistake
That would
by
be
the
dumb.
49ers.
I don't. There's certain organizations that are dumb.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers don't strike me as a dumb organization.
I will say, I think one of the decisions that maybe he would probably go back on is defensive coordinator. After 1 year, Steve Wilkes, he lets go and all that, and then kind of promotes from within, sort of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they change it again this offseason. I don't know if Robert Saleh comes back or whatever, that sort of ordeal. But yeah, just because if the 49ers did that, they're idiots.
Yeah, that's dumb. Like I said, they don't strike me as being a dumb organization.
Mm-mm.
There's many teams in the NFL that could do something like that, and it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It would surprise me if it was San Francisco.
Yeah. You look at the three teams who have openings right now, and you can kind of tell two of the organizations, the Jets and the Bears, not the smartest. Saints just are stupid with salary cap.
Right. They were kicking that down the road with, to try to maximize Drew when they had Drew Brees.
Like, I think the Bears, if I had to pick between these three, and there's going to be more. There's going to be more. Bears are probably the most attractive, although the franchise itself is like,
you kind of wonder.
Jets, I'm like, okay, I don't, yeah. And then the Saints, okay, you don't have any money.
You don't have much to work with.
So which one is it?
Right. You said other ones will pop open. I think Jacksonville's going to pop open. Doug Peterson will be out. Like, to me, if especially like if I'm a team like Jacksonville, I'm going to Ben Johnson. Say, what do you want?
That's funny because that was the name. I was like, okay, Ben Johnson. You look at what he has done with Jared Goff.
Because number one, if you're Jacksonville, you absolutely need to find out, and obviously not getting hit in the head would help. Like, is Trevor Lawrence the guy? You signed him that extension. Like, how do we maximize what we think we have in Trevor Lawrence? And I think they thought they were doing that with Doug Peterson, but Doug Peterson still thinks it's 2018.
Yeah,
he still thinks it's RPO. Like, it seems like it's just kind of passed him by.
Yep.
If I was Jacksonville, if I was a Cotton family, that's the first thing I would be doing.
Yep.
If once Doug Peterson was going, hey Ben, what do you want?
Yep.
Now I'm a little leery though, because it does seem like they may keep the GM who does not have a track record of success. Like I don't see how you can do that. But my head, like if I'm a team with like Caleb with Chicago or like Trevor Lawrence, like, and I have a young quarterback and I want to try to maximize, Ben Johnson is my number one with a bullet. Like,
Yep, I agree, man. I totally agree. So, the one intriguing name I'll throw out there for Chicago, I was thinking about this the other day, because I think you need a guy that comes in that is a culture changer, that will kind of generate a lot of excitement, but people respect. He'll hold people accountable. Pete Carroll. I know he's a defensive minded one, and you're thinking maybe offensive mind,
but he's worked with younger. He worked with Russell Wilson.
Somebody that could. Yes, he's older. He is actually like older than Bill, I think, Belichick. But somebody that would bring in some enthusiasm to that.
He doesn't act like he's 70.
Right. I would be intrigued with that one, with what he could do.
The interesting name I had seen, I think it was suggested on Good Morning Football, was Marcus Freeman.
I saw that too,
head coach
from Notre Dame. Yep. Yeah, because you wonder how much Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner, is he going to look at that former Big Ten commissioner? Is he going to look? That's where I thought, I was like, would Harbaugh be a guy, last year, potentially over there? But I don't know. There's the Jets one. I was going through my mind, and we'll do it at the end of the year. But like, okay, who they need, not necessarily who they're going to get, but like who they need. Like the Jets, like I think a guy like Vrabel maybe, but Woody Johnson, like somebody who's not going to. But then Vrabel's like, do I want to go through another owner crap thing again?
Right, exactly.
If I'm Vrabel, I'm not. But I think the Jets need somebody like a Vrabel, sort of thing.
Someone that commands respect because he's been successful.
Yep. So I was like, because Pete, it sure sounds like everybody's saying he still wants to coach. It sounds like he didn't want to leave last year.
Right.
And I'm like, would you, somebody to spark some energy and kind of maybe, I don't know, that one was a little intriguing to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So as long as Ben Johnson doesn't go to Chicago, and I know there's been some talk that he doesn't want to because of the organization,
right?
How it's ran.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Ben Johnson. He can afford to be really picky. Like maybe he looks at the cycle and says, I'm good.
There's always going to be one surprise fire.
There is.
There's always going to be one, and I'm trying to think who that would be right now. I don't think it's going to be the Eagles anymore unless they collapse
Yeah,
right
no.
here.
I mean, I wouldn't classify if McCarthy's gone. It's not even be a firing. It just might be he's not getting resigned.
Giants are probably going to have an opening, I would think, maybe.
Yeah.
Brian Dable. That wouldn't be a surprise, though, I don't think.
No. Yeah, I'm trying to just quickly do this in my head. Who would be? I mean, would Stefanski be I think Stefanski's a good coach. I think
he got in a really crappy situation.
Yes. So I think Stefanski's an NFL head coach. Antonio Pierce.
That might be a
as
one
a
and
1
done.
year as a 1 year guy. I mean, he got the job as an interim coach last year. Maybe if they're in that spot where the Raiders are picking top 2 or 3 where they can land Shadir Sanders or Cam Ward. Do they take the big swing? And
I think if you're an organization that's going to draft Shadur, you better be ready to embrace a lot.
Yes.
You better be confident in your structure.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you're going to get more ways.
You're just going to have a lot of attention on you from many people.
I'm excited when we go to the draft, dude.
It's going to be interesting.
I feel like there's going to be some drama.
Some drama
surrounding some picks. It might be figured out before we get there, but
it might be, but still.
And a lot of it is surrounded by one Shadur Sanders and his papa, Neon. So,
Papa Neon.
Hopefully, it lives up to the hype.
We'll make sure it does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the thing too. Is going back to Jacksonville quick. That's why I feel like if it does become an opening, is the most attractive because they're staying in Jacksonville. They're getting that new stadium.
Yeah.
You think you got your quarter. I mean, you're hoping you got your quarterback, but right now they got the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
If you could get a Travis Hunter guy,
if you can get Travis Hunter, great. If someone says, "Hey, we really want Sanders or we really want Ward, and we'll give you some for it," then you can do that,
right? Because you got pieces in Jacksonville.
You just don't overthink it, and that Jacksonville overthought it last time they had their number 1 pick when they went with Travon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson.
This might be a nice surprise. Zach Taylor, Bengals.
That would be a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense has just been, bad, so bad. Their D coordinator has been good, but this year it's just been bad. I mean, that would be a surprise, but never know. I mean, like you said, a surprise is a surprise for a reason.
Right. Would Arizona move on from Gannon?
They've
been there for 2 years, so it's not a 1 year.
I don't think so.
And the fact that they're competing.
No, going back to the game, they should have won that game. That was a game where early on, ooh, I don't know if Vikings are winning this one. They had a really good game plan, especially defensively. Some of the things they were doing. It just once it got to the end, Sam Darnold was just making throws, and defensively, the decision not to kick the field goal, and it's been said already, but it was so well explained by Greg Olson. Not just why you don't there, and it's not just because being up 3, being up 6, but it's just the mindset. That was a mistake. But I mean, coaches make mistakes all the time. So no, I think Arizona's in a good trajectory with Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing.
Yeah, I do too. So I think that'd be really dumb if Arizona did that.
Yeah, they've got a little juice to them.
I think the Cincinnati one might be something.
That would be a surprise, but no. But again, like I said, a surprise is a surprise for a reason.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I think there's probably gonna be 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean
there's 3 now. Giants, let's call Cowboys, Jacksonville, Raiders. Who am I missing potentially?
Fair. You already count.
Yeah, I said we got 3.
You already count them. Okay.
Yep. I don't know if the Titans would move on from 1 year.
1 year from Callahan. I don't think so. I get that that's a thing that can happen now, but no, I don't think so.
Colts.
I guess depends on how I finish, but if Anthony Richardson,
they went to playoffs last year, right or short, 1 game short.
They were just short.
Short. That's right. They lost that last game. Yep.
We'll see how it ends up. Going back to Anthony Richardson was the right move, and he's looked better. I think Steichen's probably pretty safe.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Tampa Bulls. They don't make it.
Maybe. Maybe that's one where they just decide they want to do something different. Maybe. But I guess it depends on how that South falls because.
What do you make? I don't know if these are all in the up and up, but the Kirk Cousins trade rumors. like Atlanta potentially looking to trade him in the offseason? I mean, first of all, I don't think these are thrown out there right away if they don't draft
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr.
Right. And now in
you know,
hindsight, that's looking a heck of a lot better.
right.
But I mean,
By the way, you got the return of Kirk this
we
weekend.
do. And look, I had seen some Vikings fans like, well, what's your rate? Well, if you were at the game, what would your reaction? I would probably clap. Like, I'm not gonna boo him. Like, I'm,
you could boo as soon as the game starts because
right, yeah. Once the game starts, hey, I hope you don't have a good day. But
right. Yep.
I don't have anything against him. Like, I'm just, and even have discussions like, well, imagine if the Vikings kept Cousins. Like, imagine if they signed him to an extension. Like, where would they be right now?
Yep.
Because a big reason they're 10-2 is Sam Darnold. Like, they have the, it's a good position to be in when you're going into this part of the year and you're thinking, man, are the Vikings going to, do something? Are they going to keep Sam Darnold? Or are they going to go their first round pick they draft? Like, as opposed to like, well, the same song and dance the last year, like trying to prop it up with Kirk because you don't have a lot of money to spend. Big reason the Vikings defense is so good this year is because they could spend on Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel.
Yep.
And Stephon Gilmore and, some of these other guys.
Right.
Like, they freed up money and they were able to go and get people. That was a big issue why the Vikings team could never kind of truly get over the top with Cousins, is because you were paying him $40 million a year because that's what the market dictated for him. I'm just, it's one of those things where, it's kind of like, when you see that X, you're like, oh, I hope you do well, but, I hope I'm doing better. And right now, Vikings are, for now anyway, Vikings are doing better.
They are. They won that one. Green Bay, it's kind of the same with Green Bay, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't, with the way it worked, I think people were like, oh, I hope, Rodgers does well at the Jets. But again, I hope we do better.
Really would have wished that the years were kind of almost flip-flop, though. Last year, they would have been this bad, and he played every game because we still would have got a first-round pick.
Right. Yeah.
It would have been a high first-round pick, too.
Right.
So,
right.
Shoot. Well, we can't hit our first-round picks anyway, so.
Oh, gosh darn. You didn't get that thing to fall your way.
Oh, no sarcasm there.
No sarcasm whatsoever.
Oh, I love you, man. We'll take a quick break and then some quick outdoor tidbits with Jake Polks coming up after these quick words.
is going to take great care in your budget, in your comfort, and in the work that you need done. Believe it or not, that seems like a no-brainer, but you do not get that everywhere you go. In fact, so many people have quite the opposite time at their dental office. Well, I say change. I say make a new decision. I say find your new happy place, and might as well just make that place Valley Edge Dental. It's my happy place. That's Valley Edge Dental. You deserve a better place. You deserve a happy place. Make an appointment today and tell them Phil Tripper sent you.
Festival of Toys at Smurf once again. I got a good feeling about this. Hey, a really good feeling. We're at the West Side location. A man by the name of Jeff just pulled up. He and his wife go shopping every year. They loaded us up with a bunch of toys early this morning. Included in that is one of those Micon Cinemas popcorn buckets with tickets inside it as well. So you could take the whole family and then load up on popcorn. One of those popcorn buckets you can keep refilling throughout the year. Great idea, Jeff. Love that. See, this is how you can give with Festival of Toys. New unwrapped toys. Kids from 3 months to 18 years old, thanks to TDS Fiber and high-speed internet. Festival Foods, of course, our wonderful partners here over the years and our presenting sponsors. Thanks to Maury's of Eau Claire Subaru. Love it. They are packing up a donation box over there, and we're giving them another one because they need more. They need more room, more space. I love it. The toys are coming in. Family Promise of the Chippewa Valley will distribute the toys throughout the Chippewa Valley to those families in need. If you're a family in need, reach out to familypromisecv.org, familypromisecv.org through tomorrow. Through tomorrow, you'll be able to register for all that. They will distribute the toys next week in the Chippewa Valley. Wax is getting involved in this. All of our stations of Midwest Family. In fact, they're partnering with the Marshfield Festival Foods, and St. Vincent de Paul will take care of the toys over there, and the toys are coming in. Thank you so much. We're going to hear from Dirk and Carl from EC Moving and Storage. They're bringing the big truck out so we can load the toys in and get those organized. We're going to have that going on. We're going to hear from Greg and the team here at Festival Foods a little later on this morning. It's a big day. It's a busy day. We're on the west side of Eau Claire, North Claremont Avenue. Stop by and see us. Festival of Toys from the stations of Midwest Family Eau Claire. It's Murph.
If you were to listen to Dan Casper nonstop around the clock for a solid month, you'd become the king of all sports fans, desired by beautiful women, and rich beyond your dreams. I think. Try it and let's see. The Dan Casper Show.
Dealing with any aches and pains this season, an injury that just doesn't seem to heal. Hey, you don't have to live your life dealing with pain every single day. With Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, you can start to live your life pain-free. Whether you are a professional athlete, weekend warrior, or simply have an aching joint, rest assured that you will receive unsurpassed care delivered with compassion and respect. Make your appointment today by visiting cvosm.com and start living that pain-free, healthy life. Unfortunately, Dr. Curl can't help fix my hunting success here, but maybe one Jake Bolks can do that here for me this morning. Jake, good morning. How was your hunting season? Did you have any luck?
Good morning. I had opportunities, but I passed on a deer, and I shouldn't have because it's a typical, I saw a deer within the first hour. I got all day to hunt, so I'll have plenty of opportunity, and then you never see another one again.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say I didn't have opportunity. It was a beautiful day. I was actually able to get out during the gun deer season, which is always a success for a warden. So I have no complaints. It was fun.
I know the numbers wise, there were more hunters, there were more deer harvested, total wise, but from your end, how did the season go for your group?
It went pretty good. So yeah, I haven't seen all the official numbers, but I saw the news report last night. Looks like everything was up like a good 5% at least from last year, which is always good with the later season. But from a warden's perspective, it was a pretty good season, a pretty safe season. It sounds like there's only one hunting incident where the person wasn't a fatality or anything. So as far as like hunter accidents, very, very, very low. And then locally here, we had plenty of stuff to do. We stopped and talked to a lot of hunters. There was definitely, a few of them mentioning that they didn't see as many hunters as usual, or they weren't hearing as many gunshots. But we saw a ton of them. Most people were in a pretty happy or optimistic mood. Plenty of deer we saw getting shot, stuff like that. So it was a good season. I had a lot of fun working it. There's no doubt.
Awesome. Well, muzzleloader's going on right now. So this week, how busy is that usually for you guys compared to like last week?
Not as busy. So there's obviously still people on the landscape, and we're still out there working them and checking license and stuff like that. But usually the week after the gun deer season, for our job, the first couple of days are like straight paperwork. We have to get a lot of notes in, and basically from all of our contacts, plus we got to get all of our tickets and reports and stuff like that in. But then we do a lot of follow-up after the gun deer season too, because we generally get a fair amount of complaints that come in after the season when people hear about what happened or who did something illegally or this or that, or just from our notes or our contacts, we just have some follow-up to do. So we stay pretty busy, just not out in the field as much, looking specifically for muzzleloader hunters.
Is a lot of the same rules still with muzzleloader compared to the deer rifle season? You know, orange and, and all that.
Yep. So muzzleloader season, basically all the exact same rules as the 9-day gun deer season, except for the little bit more limited on what kind of firearm you can use. So obviously you have to have some sort of some sort of muzzleloader, or lesser weapon, which would include like crossbows or bows or air guns, stuff like that you can use this year. So
gotcha. Okay.
Otherwise, blaze orange is still in effect for everyone, including late season archery hunters and all the shooting hours and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, because there's people ice fishing already, which is like just kind of mind-boggling for me. I want to note too, because there is a deadline coming up for black bear and spring turkey hunting, which is next Tuesday night. So everybody, wanting to get their like preference points or applications should get those in by next Tuesday.
Yep. And just like anything, if you want to do it, I would just go do it now if you can, or do it today. Don't wait till that deadline, because that's where people forget. There's probably going to be plenty of turkey hunters. So, the next big thing is turkey season. And we got ice fishing, but as far as hunting will be the spring turkey, and you know how that always is. So I would make sure to get your preference point in, or get your $3 in now so you can try to get a better tag.
So we do have ice fishing going, as I mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Pictures, I saw people already on the ice and tents up and everything right now. I mean, from what you have heard, how thick is the ice in some of these areas?
Can't necessarily speculate on it, just because I don't know, and everything's different. Plus, the department doesn't want me to.
Right.
But I do know, like, we've checked ice fishermen all during the gun deer season locally. So up north, the further you go up north, the more ice there's going to be, no doubt. It's been colder, especially if you cross into Minnesota, northern Minnesota. I have some family up there, and it's thick. I mean, it's been -5 at night. It's cold. So around here, I was checking ice fishermen in the Chippewa County Forest. We've checked some fishermen around Eau Claire, stuff like that. Obviously, treat all ice the same. Be careful on it. Check it as you're going out, especially this early season ice. Some places are relatively thick where you can go and catch some fish and have some success, but others are probably still cracking or kind of sketchy. So you want to be mindful of it. It's the beginning of the season. We got 3-4 more months of ice fishing. You don't need to risk your life, this week necessarily for a fish.
You haven't seen any cars out there yet, have you?
Gosh, no.
Okay, good.
No, and I haven't got the iconic. I usually get some pictures from the public once that first car goes, or someone sending me a picture from up north or something when ATVs or cars are on the ice. And I'm sure there's been some ATVs somewhere, but nothing around here, and nothing that I would recommend or advise just yet. I know it's been cold, but not that cold yet.
I know yesterday a buddy of mine actually asked me this. He's like, "Do you remember what Jake, my buddy's name's actually Jake too, but he's like, do you remember what Jake said about this last year?" And it was a question about with ice fishing, leaving like a cleaned fish carcass on the ice. Is that legal or illegal in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so that would be illegal in the sense of it's just littering. So our littering laws in Wisconsin are pretty black and white, where it's that if you don't have consent to dispose of anything, no matter what it is, like an animal carcass, a liquid, whatever, if you don't have consent to put it on that property or on public property, then you can't do it. So if you leave fish, or I talked to a guy during the deer season that was leaving animal parts out on some state land, and he was actually trapping, and long story short, it's still a violation. Like, you can't litter, or you can't put out any sort of animal carcasses on public property or even private property without consent. So you gotta, pack in, pack out type thing.
So if you want to make your fish fry and you gotta clean it, you're making your fillets, you still gotta take the carcass with you.
Take the carcass, yep. Throw them in a bucket, throw them in a bag, and throw them in the garbage when you get home, stuff like that. And And off topic, but on topic, if I'm sure people are still processing deer or shooting deer with the muzzleloader season and stuff like that. Just like a reminder, you're not supposed to dump deer on on a county road or at the end of a dead end road somewhere. So the deer carcass dumpsters are still in Eau Claire, Menominee, Augusta, Cornell, stuff like that. So Black River Falls. So they all have one. So if you want somewhere to bring your carcass, there's still options.
All right. Jake, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, they usually keep them up through the New Year's and stuff, until the deer seasons are over. So there's plenty of opportunity to use them.
Because bow season's a little bit longer, too, this year, isn't it? Go a little bit later into January. Do you know off the top of your head?
Well, it depends on what county. So any county that decided to have a bonus holiday hunt.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep.
Has the option to have an extended archery season. And I'm without looking at the map in front of me, I'm pretty sure like Eau Claire is an example of that. So it's like Eau Claire archery season should go all the way to the end of January. So up north it ends quicker, it ends sooner, but in the central farmland zones and around here and south, there's definitely opportunity to basically hunt almost to Valentine's Day, which is crazy.
Yeah, I got the map up right now, and you're right. Yeah, Eau Claire. It looks like half of the county of Eau Claire, a little bit there. Is the holiday hunt.
Zone the forest zone won't be in it because it's the holiday hunt is a gun hunt, but it's a antlerless only hunt.
Okay, good to know. That's good to know there too. So it's a gun hunt too. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, those holiday hunts are gun hunts. That's why it's weird, but and we use education discretion when needed. But during those times, again, it's a gun deer season, so everyone, including bull hunters, pheasant hunters, whomever, have to be wearing blaze orange again in that county.
Jake, before I let you go, is this also a really busy time when it comes to, you mentioned a little bit earlier, for trapping, for people getting out there and doing some trapping?
Yeah, so we were still in the first season of the Bobcat. So plenty of people, they do it while they're hunting too, but plenty of people got their Bobcat traps out, or a lot of them hunted. But yeah, we're in a prime trapping season, so a lot of opportunity for that if you're interested in it.
He's Mr. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Dude, we appreciate the time as always, man. And do you go muzzleload hunting at all, or is this kind of you're working this week?
Yeah, traditionally I usually just pretty busy with work and kind of catching back up on family time after working 9-10 straight long days. But I've been getting out during the antlerless season after it more often lately. So I'll get out next week again, try to pick me up a doe for the freezer for the winter and have some camaraderie with some friends. So it should be good.
I remember this narrative when I was a kid growing up that, everybody said the muzzle loading season is the season for the wardens to go hunting. Was that something that you remember too?
Oh yeah. And there still is. There's a lot of wardens that are out. When I trained a little over a decade ago, one of my FPLs, I was getting done with my training, and he's like, "All right, got to get you out of here by Tuesday." Like, I was supposed to go through Friday, and he's like, "You got to be out of here by Tuesday." He's like, "I'm going muzzleloader hunting. Like, this is my time." So, which I was fine with. I'm like, yeah, get me out of here early. Pass me and get me out of here. So, but yep, that notion still stands. There's a lot of wardens that love it because we've used some days off and get to go muzzleloader and get our own gun hunting in. So.
Absolutely. All right, dude. Hey, we appreciate the time as always. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch up soon. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and I'm excited to watch the game tonight. We'll see what happens.
You're a Vikings fan. Who are you cheering for, man?
I am a Vikings fan, but it's fun to watch. Some divisional games. It should be good.
Yeah.
Lions, Packers. It's always a fun game. So.
Yeah. Who do you for your team? Who do you want to win tonight? Are you cheering for the Packers to help? Maybe get that top seed. Or is it still going to hurt you to cheer for?
Sorry, but it's hard to it's hard to cheer for the Packers any day of the year. But I don't know. I think the Lions kind of got in the bag, so I don't really know. I really don't have much skin on the game except for my fantasy team. So I'm probably going to be rooting for players over teams.
Right. That's a good way to look at it too. So, dude, we appreciate it, man. Have a good week.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
You got it. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the state of Wisconsin. We'll take our final break. Brandon's back. We'll do some picks and predicts for tonight's games. We'll hit that up. And final thoughts. Last call for any texts, keys to victory, your predictions. Let us know. 715-830-1912. Let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire. Looking for somewhere to watch some of the games, maybe some of the games tonight. The game tonight. Head on over to the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Don't forget to get your picks in for our Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge up at our website. Jolene's still leading sole possession up there. We're getting to that point now, Brandon, where we might have to start making some upset picks if we want to catch up. So, will that happen tonight? Will the movement happen tonight? Let's start off. Do we want to do any NBA games, or we just focus on? Let's just do the one then. How about that?
Yeah.
Focus on that. Good commentary there.
Predict and prediction.
All right. Packers, Lions. Lions banged up. Packers missing a couple key players in tonight's game in Detroit, the Motor City. How do you see this one playing out?
I'm going to pick the Packers.
Do tell. Why?
I just have a feeling. I mean, obviously the Lions are banged up.
Tonight's gonna be a good night.
Okay, Black Eyed Peas. No, I feel like the Packers have the way they've been able to run the ball. I think that's kind of a good recipe going into what's going to be, I'm sure, a very raucous Ford Field against the banged up defense. But yeah, I'll take the Packers like 27-23. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game.
All right. So this is how I see it playing out. This is going to be my. He doesn't do it anymore. My Justice Cleveland Tecmo Bowl prediction sort of thing. How it plays out. Why doesn't he do that anymore?
Oh, you gotta ask him.
You know, we'll have to. I don't know. Maybe out of time. I don't know. I want to know how he got the updated version. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, that's the bigger question because you just want to play that yourself. And I don't blame you.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be on a computer, right?
That's got to be.
Yeah. Packers will score a field goal on their opening drive instead of a touchdown. They'll get a field goal. Detroit will get a touchdown on their opening drive. So it'll be 7-3 Detroit after the first quarter. Second quarter, we're going to head into to the half. It's going to be flip-flop 10-10. So halftime, it'll be 10-10. Okay, this is how it's all going to play out. And then Green Bay's defense clamps down in the second half. All right, Green Bay puts up 7 in the second quarter, 17-10. Third quarter, excuse me. Thank you. So we're heading into 17-10 into the fourth quarter. Detroit narrows it 13-17 with a field goal early in the fourth quarter. Okay. Green Bay comes back, scores up another touchdown to make it 24-13. Then Detroit scores a touchdown. So we got 24-20. All right. 24-20. Green Bay scores another touchdown, 31-20. Detroit scores a touchdown, 31-27. But they don't get the onside kick. Green Bay wins 31-27.
Well, you thought a lot about that.
And that was all on the fly.
Wow.
That was all on the fly. No, that was all on the fly. I was just like picturing it in my mind how it's going to go right there. So 31-27. And if it's that accurate, if it even close to that, I'm going to go.
You need to go
buy
a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I'm retiring. I'm done. Lock it up.
You need to buy a lottery ticket then because you obviously got a.
Well, then I probably just wasted it on just that stupid thing instead of the look on a lottery ticket. So that's how it's. This is a very hard pick. Is it weird? Like Detroit has had Green Bay's number in Lambeau, but Green Bay obviously beat them last year in Detroit on Thanksgiving
yeah.
and that.
Yeah,
so.
It's interesting.
It's a classic game I could see going multiple different ways. I could see it being a blowout for each team. I could see it be a close win for each team. I could see it all high scoring. I could see it low score. This is a very difficult game to pick. It is. At some point, Detroit's going to lose another game. I don't know if it's going to be a stupid game, like where they lose to an inferior opponent that we see a lot. They are going to lose another game at some point. I can't see them. I mean, maybe they will, but I don't see them finishing 16-1.
No.
But it might be tonight. This to me, Green Bay. Let's face it, Detroit has narrowly escaped the last couple times. I think that's fair, right? Narrowly escaped some games there. And Green Bay the last 2 weeks has put on some dominating performances. Say what you want. San Francisco was definitely banged up, but they didn't play down to the competition. Miami looked like they were frozen fish and wanted to get out of there. I think Green Bay is looking at this like this has got to be a statement game for us. if we want to show the rest of the world that it's not just Philly and Detroit in the NFC, that we belong in that conversation, they got to use that as momentum for tonight. Don't turn the ball over. Don't make stupid mistakes. Don't have stupid penalties. And I think they got a good shot to win. As long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, I think they got their...
Don't be dumb.
Yeah, don't be dumb.
It's a very good rule, not only for football, but also for life.
We should print the shirts.
Don't be
Don't
dumb.
be dumb. Residence Branding Company, our good peeps over there, our Swag Cave peeps. Residence Branding Company, if you need some shirts made up, your tumblers or any other items, promotional items for your brand, or Residence Branding Company. Matt, if you're listening, don't be dumb. We'll print them off right there. Put them up in the Swag Cave. So good advice for anybody, as Brandon said. So, yeah, I'm nervous, but it tends to be whenever I'm nervous for a game, and I'm probably jinxing it. Whenever I'm nervous for a game, it usually works out. When I'm overconfident, when I feel good about a game, it never really is. Like, no. But
do we classify you feeling good when you can literally you name every single score that's going to happen?
I'm just, I'm kind of like a psychic, man. I can. You hear athletes always say, "I visualize how the game's going to go." So I'm visualizing how the game's going to go. I'm manifesting it to happen that way. So I got to imagine I'm like an Aaron Rodgers with an enigma about me.
Oh boy.
You're going to watch a little bit of it too.
I don't think I am.
Yeah, you will. What's going to happen first? You watch 5 minutes of that, or the whole movie of Draft Day?
Draft Day.
That was quick.
The important thing, though, for the Jets is they just got to be focused on the stuff that matters and cut out all the outside noise.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe there was one Aaron Rodgers who said that.
It was a smart quote. It's just too bad he didn't follow his own advice.
No.
So.
You telling me Aaron Rodgers might be a bit of a hypocrite?
Skosh.
Just a skosh? Okay.
Just a skosh.
No.
Okay. Is this the worst? And I know this is a broad question and really, loaded, but without going into like Namath and Unitas and that, but the worst ending of a Hall of Fame quarterback's career that could ever happen.
I mean, Favre's wasn't great, but I don't think.
But he had the one good year.
Yeah, he still had the 09 year was really good. He stayed a year too long, and then 2010 he came back. Obviously, they had to kind of take him off his ranch.
Yep.
And then you had obviously the stuff come to light with Jen Sturger, and that's not good. And then he got
trade for Moss.
Yeah. Then he got reportedly Red Shoulders got a weight thrown at him by Percy Harvin.
I forgot about that.
Which I'm on Percy Harvin's side with that.
Forgot about that.
And then he gets knocked out of the game. His consecutive game streak ends, and it just kind of ends with a whimper. But yeah, that's
because you factor.
I still think this one's worse
because you factor in everything else, like the loaded team, and then like it just it was.
And here's the thing: it might not be done. It should be. It should be. This should be enough. But is there someone out there?
Well, there's going to be one team, right? There's going to be one team.
But who?
I don't know, but there's going to be one team that says, yes, we want some of that. There's got to be one team. Got to be one team out there. I don't know who, but you know it's going to happen, man.
Man, the temptation is going to be out there for somebody.
Yeah, there is going to be one team. If he's there, not there, but there will be rumors. There will be like, oh, maybe it's the Giants. Oh, maybe it's the Titans. It'll happen. Aaron
Rodgers owns land in Tennessee.
He does. But
maybe it'll be the Packers.
Can you imagine? No, I'm not even gonna manifest that into existence. I'm channeling my inner, not even saying that. So it sucks because you don't want to hear. You don't want to be talking like. He's an all-time great.
He is.
And it just like he's lost a lot of the Q rating right now. And I think honestly the best way is going to have to be like a Favre one. You need to go away for a few years.
Right. How can I miss you if you won't go away?
Yep. You need to go away for a few years. You need to be quiet for a few years. Well, and then when you're back at Lambeau,
that might be tough for Aaron.
When you're back at Lambeau, you'll get your welcome. But which, by the way, it was 9 years ago, just the other day.
That.
I made my debut on NFL Films.
Were you?
Yeah. It was really hot that day. It actually was, but I was brushing away some sweat. So I did not know that. I still remember watching it. I'm like, oh, that's me at the Favre thing. So, yep. That was also the day that I bought that yellow blazer jacket, that Packer yellow blazer. Remember that I wear that sometimes?
Mhm.
I got it that day at the pro shop for $50. And I said, I'm going to wear this all day. It was like 98 degrees. I didn't wear it all day. We'll just say the Twisted Tees were going down a lot that day. So, and I didn't run into, but I was walking to the car to get something, and Charles Woodson was sitting in a passenger seat in the car right there. I was like, oh, Chuck. Good day. It was a good day. Yep.
Flash Heisman pose.
Yep. So, all right, we're going to get cut off here. So, again, kickoff tonight, 7:15, Packers, Lions here. Easy to say, bigger game for the Packers and the Lions. I mean, it's a big game for both.
It's a big game for both. Yes, it is. It's
Means more maybe for
right.
For
if the Packers don't win, obviously any chance that the division is
pretty much
tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when you've already lost 2 division games.
Right.
And all your losses are NFC opponents.
Right. And the Lions do have like a game against like the Bills on deck too, which is still pretty big too. But yeah, I would say that fair.
I think for tie-breaking scenarios too, if you look at 5-6 for wild card, your 4 losses against NFC teams, all NFC teams.
Yeah. That would be your 3rd loss in the division.
Mhm.
Currently the Vikings are 2-1.
Right. Yep. So that factors into it too. So all right, have a good rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the game. DP Danitz, they're up next. We'll talk to you again soon.